Hello, good people. This is a PSA from TSA. You are listening to the Underground Railroad Show at Spreaker.com. I am the great TSA with my assistant, That Ninja. I'm sorry for the lack of attendance. I was busy spiking faces and beating data dominoes. TSA out.
Who told you that?
You must be on something.
Oh, man, I love the game of golf. It was a beautiful day out here today, wasn't it, baby girl? You didn't think it was a nice day today?
Well, I am sweating all over, so no, I didn't really think it was.
Well, I mean, you got to drive the car. You got to drive the car, and it did have the hood on it, so it kept the sun off of you.
Yeah, but it had no air conditioning.
Well, okay, fair enough. So, we're going to get something to eat, right?
Of course.
Cool.
And you're obviously paying, right?
Always. Always. Man, golf is a fun sport. Hey, I drove the ball pretty well today, don't you think?
Pretty well to the far right, yeah.
But, okay, even though I went right, my iron game was really good, and I was able to fight my way out of that.
Yeah, but you hit it into the sand, and you did that quite often, might I add.
Even when I went in the sand, my chip was really tight, so I was able to get out of there and get close to the flag.
After 3 times.
You have to admit, though, my putting game was really good, and it saved me a lot of the times from all of the bad hits I had out in the fairway.
And it only took you 11 holes. Listen, until you get a good golfing game, I'm gonna keep giving you shit.
I'm improving. I mean, since I've gotten started, haven't I got a lot better?
Yes, you've gotten better since your injury.
We don't have to talk about my shoulder, but I mean, that's another reason why it's coming along slowly, but, you know, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it.
Sure.
Hey, baby girl, I'm about to go hop in the shower. When I get out, we head out to the volleyball tournament, okay?
Okay. Oh, can I use my the computer?
Oh, yeah, of course, baby. Of course. Hey, baby girl.
Yeah.
Repetition breeds familiarity.
Familiarity breeds comfort. Comfort breeds complacency or success. We're going for the latter rather than the former.
All right, good deal. Handle business.
Okay.
Hey, remember you're a beast out there. Act like it.
I will.
All right.
Let me see what he got in these emails. Spam. Overdue bills. Not surprised. Fuck the police coming straight from the underground. Young nigga got it bad 'cause he's broke. What is this? Sarah? Linda? Becky? Amber? Amy? Molly? Ginger? Heather? Karen? Oh, hell no. We are not having this. No, I don't want no Pancake Tuesdays. Oh God, delete. No, I do not want your lemon bars, Karen. Oh, my dad's gonna get...
Do you have strong opinions and you're looking for a way to express them? Are you tired of carbon copy sports radio that infests the airwaves? Do you have creative concepts and ideas that you want to share with the world? Then this is not the commercial for you. This commercial is all about
Kinko's University.
That's right. Kinko's University gets you prepared for the podcasting world when you don't have the chops for it. If you're one of the many people looking to get into podcasting, but you just don't have the skill, Kinko's University is the university for you.
I want to do a podcast, but where do I start? And what do I talk about?
Kinko's University.
Don't worry, here at Kinko's University, the first thing we teach you about is OPP. That's right, other people's perspective. So you can always have something to talk about getting it from another source.
Podcasting looks fun, but do I really have to do all that research and show prep?
Kinko's University.
Absolutely not. Here at Kinko's, we have classes like No Preparation 101, where we teach you to get around all of that pesky show prep because we know you don't have the time.
I wonder what the best time slot is to get the most listeners.
Kinko's University.
Don't worry, here at Kinko's, we have a class called Recycling Ideas 101, where you can find a time slot that works and just jump in that slot to try to make it happen for yourself.
Kinko's University.
I want to come up with new content and subject matter, but I'm not that creative.
Kinko's University.
You'll also take Regurgitation 101, which will help you come up with other people's subject matter that you can recycle and make your own. That's right, here at Kinko's, we teach you how to get around hard work, getting new wrinkles in your brain, and having to work hard at your craft. Come to Kinko's, where you can take these top courses with top teachers. Most people that go to Kinko's graduate with Kinko's degrees, that's right, as master copiers. Kinko's University, for the skilled impaired.
Kinko's University is not a real university and is not accredited. You don't actually learn any skills. You just learn how to mimic people who have actual skill.
Underground Railroad Show with that ninja. All aboard, have your tickets ready because the train has arrived. Delayed or on time, it's time to get on board.
What's going on, fam? This is the Underground Railroad Show hosted by your boy, that ninja. What's going on, man? Thank y'all for coming aboard. Hope you truly are enjoying the ride thus far. Right off the bat, man, my apologies for last week. On Monday, I had work complications, and I continued to have them throughout the week. There was maybe a day or two I could have slid it in. Pause. But I just simply didn't have the opportunity, and I have a somewhat of a policy of not trying to start the show too late. So for that reason, I didn't want to get started too late, for how long I knew I was going to run. So I didn't get to the show last week. My apologies for that. With that being said, man, let's get into it. Thank you for coming aboard on a Monday. And again, I will, I do vow to be more consistent this year. Again, I had my worst year with consistency last year. Shout out to this bipolar ass weather that has me going from heat to air conditioning. I've been fighting a good fight, but I had to click the damn air today. It's going to get up to the 70s, too. But that's atypical bipolar-ass Huntsville weather. Atypical. Okay, now a couple of things. Okay, before I get into the meat of the show, as I normally do, something off-kilter, regular life-ish. I haven't done anything interesting food-wise, I don't think. Everything's been fairly normal. Okay, 2 updates. One, this I've made before. I haven't been to the Cheesecake Factory in forever because generally speaking, now when I first started going, I enjoyed the place. It was cool. But when they finally built one here, for whatever reason, I've always found it to be subpar. It's just not what it should be. The service been bad a couple of times. And the more I think about it, part of it, when I was going to the one that was here, I was doing that. That was around the time I was doing that little year without fried food and year without pork. So it kind of limited my choices. Not so much in the pork department, but, fried food, fried zucchini, the fried shrimp I normally get. It affected, I couldn't get fish and chips. It affected the way I ordered. I'm sure I could find something, but that place is readily available and I just don't go. But my entire point in saying that, what was the purpose of that? They had a dish. My go-to dish that I used to get from there was a Cajun jambalaya pasta. It was Cajun jambalaya pasta. a while back, I had found a recipe for it and made it myself, and I like the version I made a lot better. And back then I was still doing pork, so it had pork in it, so I enjoyed it a lot more than the one at the Cheesecake Factory. It didn't have a pork element or whatever. Okay, I don't eat that now, but at any rate, the point is that that's the only thing I think I did slightly different. I made some Cajun jambalaya pasta, and I'm generally not a tomato-based person. I think with that, the reason I can get away with it, and again, this is the Underground Railroad Show hosted by your boy, That Ninja. This is kind of the little flow of it. I'll come in and talk about my day, what I've been cooking and stuff. It's kind of a little show thing. Give people time to get in. Then after that, I'll jump into the subject matter. And I'll address the, I guess you would call it the proverbial elephant in the room to a degree. I would assume that the steady subject matter for today has probably been All-Star Weekend. I'll address that shortly. So the only thing I've done differently, I made some Cajun jambalaya pasta, which I've made before. I haven't made it in a while. Very quick dish, but to a degree, somewhat tomato-based. I've really kind of left that alone for a multitude of reasons. Just kind of not my thing anymore. Oh, also, mic check, mic check, mic check. Let me know if there are any microphone issues. I generally just throw my earbuds in and check myself, but give me a thumbs up, in the chat room if we're clear, and I'll just continue as if I am. Looking at everything, it appears I'm fine, but I just want to make sure. Every now and again, there'll be some type of slight interference, which I don't get. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate it. All right, as I was saying, Cajun jambalaya pasta, that's somewat different. Have I done anything else? I know this is sad considering my age, but I've had opportunities, but there were other vegetables around, so I just didn't do it. But I just had some Brussels sprouts recently. Very good. Now, okay, I've heard, let me go there before I finish with the jambalaya pasta thing. I'm trying to think that I do anything different outside of that. Brussels sprouts, I made that. Have I made anything else? I thought I had made. Oh, that's what it was. Okay. I'll do that and then I'll get into it. So, Brussels sprouts. Now, before I had them, and I've asked people in the chat room before, I was told or I was advised, I heard from one group, they're like little cabbages. And then I heard emphatically from another group, emphatically, in all caps, they are not, I repeat, not like little cabbages. So I heard two different points of view for what Brussels sprouts tasted like. Of course, they look like little cabbages. Heard that before, and I also heard emphatically the antithesis of that they have nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing to do with cabbage. So, and I'm pretty big on vegetables, so I wasn't overly concerned about trying those. So I, ran across the occasion to try them. They were baked, seasoned and baked. They were excellent. And I thought that they tasted like cabbages. Like, for the people that's told me that they have nothing to do with cabbage, I would like to know how they were prepared. I had them baked. I would assume the other way might be like a pan-sear or something like that. Maybe some people might grill them. But I actually thought they tasted like little cabbages to me. They were real good. I made Cajun jambalaya pasta. I can run through it real quick. And again, I know I've heard these jokes. I think, I think I know who said this. But I've been, all the recipes, people in the show know how I feel about onions. I said before that, onions could fall off the face of the earth and it wouldn't affect my life at all. I've pulled back on that a little bit, mainly because I use onion powder in damn near everything. And I know that seems like hypocrisy that I don't like onions, but I'll use onion powder. I don't look at that as hypocrisy. So obviously I don't mind the flavor, but there's just something about onions that are not my thing. What I will say now, I'll say this definitively. I'm to the point now where in things where I can lose the onion, I'll use them. But I'm not really using onions. I'm using shallots. But I'll use shallots in these dishes and gumbos and soups, things I can lose them in. I'll use it in those occasions. But I'm still going to cook the hell out of them. I like a bite in my vegetable, but not those damn onions. I'm going to cook those motherfuckers so they disappear. They're going to get a head start on putting them in first. They're going to cook for a while before I put in, generally what people will call the Holy Trinity, which would be bell pepper, celery, and onions. So now I will implement shallots that I dice into the most minuscule pieces in the history of the world, and I will disintegrate them and implement them in a dish. So saying all that to say, I put those in the Cajun jambalaya pasta. Came out really well. As I was making it and I started doing it, I remembered I did two things differently. And again, this is for people to listen. They kind of know how I am with this. I'm trying to get into the habit of slowing down and calming down with the portions. Generally, when I make a recipe, I look at it like, well, that's not enough. So I always, recipes are suggestions to a degree. So you're just going to look at it and then implement what you feel is necessary. There are going to be some replacements and or improvements. There are going to be some increases or decreases depending on what your likes and dislikes are. So in my case, I generally increase the amount of the dish because most of the time it's not enough. But being that most of the time I'm just cooking for myself, and even if I'm cooking for with other people in mind, I still overdo it sometimes. Now I'm gonna eat it; it's fine. But this is literally the first time I've made it proportion-wise to the letter of the recipe, meaning I didn't do anything to really increase it. Now, when it comes to the amount of shrimp and chicken and all that, I'm going to put more in there than it calls for because, generally speaking, that recipe calls for sausage. I'm not going to do sausage. I don't replacement sausage. I'd rather just not do sausage at all than eat replacement sausage. I know I said I had some chicken sausage, and it was edible, and I had it, a couple of days with some egg whites. But I still don't see myself going and buying that. So I'd rather just leave it out. So just to run through it real quick, but shallots in it, red and green bell peppers, small tomato, 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. I use the one with garlic in it, the little garlic infused or whatever. What else we have? Fettuccine pasta. They say chicken breast. I use chicken thighs. So I got boneless, skinless thighs, trim the fat off of them, cut them in, small portions, whatever. Season those up, sear them real good, threw those to the side and all that. Ran the gauntlet on the recipe, get your vegetables going, put in your tomatoes, put in your sauce, throw your chicken back in. I never pre-cook my shrimp. I never do that. You're just going to have rubber. You put your shrimp in towards the end of the recipe. That's all you need. Once they're opaque, you're good. I never pre-cook my shrimp. But at any rate, that's pretty much the whole recipe. Put that in, got a little litany of seasonings, thyme, oregano, and for the most part, Creole seasoning. Very simple, but excellent recipe. So, you throw in your chicken, throw in your shrimp, let it get opaque. And I try not to overdo the chicken. Sometimes if you do too much chicken, to me, it throws the recipe off. And as much as I like my dishes to be hearty, if you put too much meat in it and you don't have a proper amount of noodles, it throws it off. In this case, I had plenty of fettuccine. Looking back on it, I could have put some more chicken in it. I had plenty, but I could have put some more in it. I was cognizant that I didn't want to do too much. But when you're doing thighs, and thighs are going to what's the term that I've acquired? They're forgiving. They're forgiving. So they're going to last. You know what I'm saying? So if you got a boneless skin style, you cut it down and put it in. It's going to maintain, its consistency. It's not really going to get dry. So that worked out. The shrimp worked out. And then, you just feed the fettuccine in there and whip it up till you got the right amount. And I mean, that's it. And I actually made it to the letter of the recipe, which gave me just enough, enough to enjoy it and leave me thinking, I can't wait to make that again. So, that was straight. The only other thing I did differently, and it's not like I've never fried chicken tenders before, but I've never done the buttermilk technique. I'm not going to reveal my sources. I've never done the buttermilk technique before, and I did that for the first time. That was excellent. So I think at this point, anytime I do chicken, I'm probably going to go with that. I had never done that before. I had it once before, but never actually tried to do it myself. That was excellent. So I really can't wait to get a hold of some bone-in chicken and try that. So only thing I've done differently on the cooking front. Jambalaya pasta wasn't really different. I just haven't made it in a while. I guess it was different that I actually stayed to the letter of the recipe. With me, that's a little while. So that's the only thing I've done differently on the cooking front. Couple of things. Y'all know with the show, I always listen and try to go back, listen for inconsistencies, problems. Picture could be better. I'm trying to work on that. I'm not sure what it is, but I'll just keep it pushing at this point. But one thing I noticed is that I need to, there are certain, I'm basically the same, the show's visual now, and it changes a few things. If I'm not visual, I don't have to be, there's no need for me to be cognizant and aware of my posture, my appearance, the placement of my head. I need to be aware that this is where I'm at to look into the camera to where it looks like I'm actually engaged into the show and into the camera and into the audience that may or may not be watching. I need to be here. But as I start talking and thinking, I have a tendency to do this shit. And now I'm doing the Stevie Wonder as I'm doing the podcast. So I'm trying to maintain that discipline to stay focused and, be forward and be aware that I'm actually live. Just some of those things I got to get used to. For the first 9 years I did this, I wasn't visual. I had the anonymity of not being seen, and that, it has its advantages and its disadvantages. But as I'm looking at the replays, and I was cool with it content-wise last show. There were a few glitches and audio issues I didn't care for. The picture could be a little bit better, man. I'm working on it. I see the issues and whatnot, and I'm working on it. And again, I apologize for last week, and I'm most certainly and most definitely, definitively working on my consistency. And again, I'm not going to say anything else about my use of social media and the lack of warning and or notice when I have these issues. I'm just going to simply go into the act of doing better. I can't talk about it anymore. I've said I'm going to do it, and I have not been consistent with the alerts or anything as far as, hey, the train's not going to be running today. The alternator went bad. So I will do my best to do better about that. But I have not thus far. So at this point, I won't talk about it. I'll just make sure that I do it. Thank you for coming aboard. Now, this is the so-called elephant in the room. We just had NBA All-Star Weekend. Oh, and one more thing before I move on. I almost did the show during the weekend, but, weekend ended up being a little busy. I thought about what weekend it was. I said, this probably isn't a good time. So once I didn't make it happen during the week and I made it till Friday, I was pretty much shot at that point. I said, retail weekend. I imagine people are kind of busy and whatnot. So I let that go. But, I wasn't going to miss today for obvious reasons. Because as you know, I'm a junkie at this point.
That's got me, man. I don't got no control over it, man. I try to kick, man. That shit just be calling me, man. Be calling me, man. I just got to go to it. Need help, man.
One more thing again, I don't know how it comes off. As I'm watching the replay, it doesn't seem to be too off-putting, but I have to give almost a 2-second delay before I hit the sound bite, because for whatever reason, it runs into the back end of my voice, even though I'm hitting the sound bite well after I'm done talking. There's some kind of delay or something to where I have to pause. So on my end, it feels crazy. But I've noticed if I don't do that, the soundbite will start playing while I'm talking. You won't understand me nor the soundbite. So I have to remain cognizant of that as well. Just a few things that are different about this format. Still getting used to it.
Who raised you?
Now, the elephant in the room, it was NBA All-Star Weekend. I'll be perfectly honest. I had no fucking idea it was All-Star Weekend. I was not aware at all.
God damn!
Truth is for everybody, but everybody might not be for the truth.
I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying I wasn't aware. Until you look up. If I even probably would have looked in the text thread, I would have known, but I never did. So I don't know what I saw something, maybe it was social media. And when I saw that, I said, it's NBA All-Star Weekend? Oh shit. Okay. Let me check that out. Never did. I started I think I was oh, that's the other slight side note. I already mentioned this. I've been watching I've watched 3 seasons. Focus. I watched 3 seasons of I'm on season 4 of Mayor of Kingstown. I watched 3 seasons of Mayor of Kingstown just on some binge watching shit. When I got to season 4 of that, I paused. And now I'm on episode 10, season 1 of Landman. Episode 10, season 1 of Landman. And before I started watching Landman, y'all know that show Morris Chestnut had, Watson? I like medical shows. And they mixed in a little bit of mystery. The shit's a little weird and whatnot. But, as I'm watching it, I kind of got into it. I've started watching Watson. I'm in season... I think I'm in season 3 of Watson. I think I'm in season 3. No, is it 2? No. I'm in season 2 of Watson. I'm in season 2. Or is it 3? You know what? I think I'm actually in season 3. So I've been binge watching series a little bit as opposed to getting into basketball. I am about to make a concerted effort to watch college basketball. You know, that time's getting ready to come, you know, to where I give my annual donation to the Posting in the Paint NCAA tournament bracket, and I give my donation to whoever the eventual winner will be. And thank you in advance for my donation this year to whoever the winner may be. You're welcome. You are welcome. It's just kind of fun to do. I have no expectations of winning. One, I'm not invested in basketball enough to I'm not making confident decisions, and I'll get into how much that's worth in a minute. But I'm not making informed. I'm not making an informed decision because I really haven't watched, and I'm getting secondhand information to some degree. Even if I start watching right now, even if I watch every minute of the conference tournaments, that gives me something to go off of. But it's not the same of having watched the entire season or just being a fan that watches, you know, the majority of the time to see the maturation of certain players, coaches, the program, how consistent and or inconsistent they are. I don't have that when it comes to basketball right now because I don't watch it like that for a multitude of reasons that I won't get into right now. But I am looking forward to doing the posting in the paint March Madness bracket, and you know, looking at it and checking my phone every now and again, and just hoping that I'm still in it to pretend like I have a chance just to have ABM. You know, this thing about it now. So right now, okay, he can't do a show, and you know, and dash any hopes I may have of winning, but he can come in the chat room and say something very casual like, mathematically, you actually don't have a chance to win. You know, so that takes a little bit of the air out of my sails, which is going to happen at one point. You know, but in this instance, I don't watch enough to, you know, to really get upset about not being able to pick a good bracket. So, but it's still fun. What I want is to be in it after the first 2 rounds of games. After that first weekend and that next round, if I'm still in it after that, if I'm still relevant, I'm cool. I'm cool. That first weekend when you just get killed in that first weekend and now you're just in a participatory phase and you're just watching to see what everybody else is going to do, that's a little disheartening. Even though there's no logic or really science to it, you can think you understand the teams and whatnot. It doesn't mean your picks are going to turn out the way you would like. Nonetheless, I will participate. And as I've said before, me doing the March Madness bracket puts me in the category of all of those fantasy football people that watch football, but they have outside reasons. If fantasy didn't exist, they wouldn't have the same passion. It's not the case for me when it comes to pigskin. And I still love round ball. The things around round ball get on my nerves. And, you know, this time, I just can't watch all that shit. You know, you have to, you know, prioritize. So you just don't have time to watch ball like that. And even when I'm deciding, okay, now's a little time for me to, you know, burn being on the net or watching TV or whatever I'm going to do. Do I want to watch basketball? Do I want to get into one of these series? You know, so, you know, it just depends. And I don't think I finished. I squirreled a little bit. But last little side note, and then I'll introduce everybody right after I finish this setup. But season 3 of Watson, I'm there. Season 3 of Watson. It might be 2. I think I'm on season 3. I'm on season 4 of Mayor Kingstown. And I'm on episode 10, season 1 of Landman. Landman is fucking hysterical. I mean, you know, most of y'all have seen it. That's been recommended to me by several individuals, though. But I think most people would enjoy Landman and Mayor Kingstown. Watson might be a little eclectic for some. I think, you know, I believe, you know, the other people that, you know, would consider themselves a Trekkie or semi-Trekkie. I think Sidney Jackson qualifies. We're not the only ones, but he might be able to watch something like Watson. That might not vibe for a lot of people, but I actually got a kick out of that. And again, you know, with streaming and everything, you can sit there and watch back-to-back episodes. You're not waiting till next week. That's very addictive. If you're actually getting into something, you don't have to wait. You can just sit there and just, goddamn, this is cool. You know, you can just sit there and watch shit back-to-back. It's very convenient. So, you know, with football season coming to a conclusion, I have been doing some serious binge watching. Now, elephant in the room, NBA All-Star Weekend. I really wasn't cognizant. Did not watch it. So this show has absolutely nothing to do with round ball. Now, with that being said, I don't have any type of restrictions. If you want to discuss round ball, something that you saw, something during All-Star Weekend that you feel is significant and or pertinent, feel free to let that go. Let that flow. Type it in there. Talk about it. That's fine. That's fine. But for me, I'm going to do the same show that I was going to do last week, and I still have 2 more shows in the can that I didn't do to prior weeks missed. So I'll figure out what I'm going to do those. But today's show is my prognostication review. My prognostication review. And this is concerning pigskin. And what this is, to prognosticate is simply to foretell future events. At the beginning of the year, I had some definitive opinions about football, certain teams, certain coaches, certain players. So what I'm going to do now is hold myself accountable. Slow down, T. What I'm going to do now is hold myself accountable for the things that I was passionate about or that I spoke about with my whole entire chest. So I'm going to speak about those today, and you can tell where my prognostication ranks as far as this past football season. And this truly flies in the face of me saying I don't have expectations for my NCAA predictions because I'm not immersed in the sport and I really can't speak about it in an intelligent manner like all of these former college basketball players who listen to the show, ABM, Sidney Jackson, JB Jennings. I'm leaving somebody out. What's my man's name that played against ABM in the tournament? Oh, I need my ass kicked. But everybody played college ball and then everybody that's invested in watching college and pro ball, you're going to have a better idea of these players, these teams, their consistencies, the way they play in the tournament, how well they're coached, are they clutch, are they not clutch? You're going to have that information. With all that being said, I have that information when it comes to football, and that did not help my prognosticating when it came to this past year in college and pro football. And we're about to dive into that after these intros. Once again, this is the Underground Railroad Show hosted by your boy, That Ninja. Thank you for coming aboard and rolling with me. Truly appreciate it. Once again, the title of the show, I simply attempt to set free the stories that are locked up by the mainstream media. Most of the sports, radio, and or media coverage is shaded in a certain way. They only cover certain things. They shade everything in a certain light. After a while, when I figured out what they were doing, or it was made clear to me just by observation, because at one time I was really immersed in it, like most people. And after I was able to see what it was and see it for what it is, it was quite disheartening, and I just chose to stop listening and watching. And I was it enabled me, in my opinion, to enjoy sports. I was able to enjoy my sports much more without the half-ass, backwards, Stevie Wonder-ass coverage I was getting from the majority of sports outlets. So I've cut them out a long time ago. And one of the reasons is no accountability. So today I'm going to be accountable for the things that I spoke about with my chest. So if you have round ball on your heart, speak on it. I'll give you my opinions that don't mount up to shit. But I'll give you my opinions on, what you might have to say about it, when I haven't. I don't know. I've watched about. Let me make sure I'm not lying. I don't know, about 37 and a half dribbles. I've watched about 37 and a half dribbles. About 37 and a half dribbles, so not necessarily qualified. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Thank you for coming aboard. Let's introduce everybody on the train, and then we'll get into my prognostication review, where I will hold myself accountable for the things that I said with my chest concerning my opinions and thoughts ahead of the season or before the season and what I thought would occur during the course of the season. Some things I was correct about. The majority of the things I was dead ass wrong. Luckily, I'm not a gambler because I would have, quote unquote, lost my shirt.
Stupid is as stupid does.
Stupid is, stupid does. Stupid is, stupid does, sir.
First man aboard the train, who will come aboard the train to his usual bomb drop for slapping the sauce out of his wife's hands when she attempted to apply it to my ribs. True story. True story.
The truth is for everybody, but everybody might not be for the truth.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you none other. Unnecessary pause, but a pause nonetheless. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you none other than the great Sidney Jackson. Sidney coming aboard saying, stepping on the soundbite. Sidney coming aboard saying, I can't wait to hear Ninja's breakdown of the NBA All-Star game and give his 10-point plan to make the All-Star game better. Once again, I can't wait to hear that Ninja breakdown the NBA All-Star game and give his 10-point plan to make the All-Star game better. Sir, that's hysterical.
Who raised you?
A man that knows me well knows I probably didn't watch 1 minute of it.
Who raised you?
You funny, sir. You funny. And again, I understand y'all are saying you're giving me an end of the year football review after NBA All-Star weekend and right before March Madness and really when college basketball is starting to get into the thick of it. Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
It's my house. You know what it is? And if you don't like it, you get the fuck out.
Sidney Jackson said if the Stews went on an Sidney Jackson said if the Stews went on an ocean cruise, what we gonna do for the railroad? An airborne swamp tour? Wow. Sidney Jackson said if the Stews went on an ocean cruise, what are we gonna do for the railroad? An airboat swamp tour. Why? I don't understand why I'm catching the slack. Why are we doing this, sir? I don't know, man. I don't know. You know, we could a gathering would be cool. We could do a gathering of some sort and figure out a destination place. I'd be more than willing to lend my cooking skills. Perhaps the yellow one could prepare and some type of vegan menu. And I did not talk to the yellow one today. I was a little bit busy. I never ended up calling the yellow one today. I'm trying to think. Is there anything? No, I think that's it on the preliminary things. Airboat swamp tour is hysterical. Yeah, I'm not trying to roll through the swamp either. I'm good on that. Sidney Jackson said, I'm not sure if there's a cheesecake factory in the Memphis area. It used to be a cool little spot. And I'll be honest, man, I'm not going to sit here and act like I just couldn't eat there. You know, if you eat any form, and then I righteously don't, but if you eat any form of fast food on any semi-consistent basis, how much shit can you talk about cheesecake? That's like when people joke on Red Lobster. I get it, but do you go to Long John Silver's or Captain D's? Do you go to any of these boiled places? Depending on what you're getting, that shit is probably actually better. So if you fool with any type of fast food, I get that those aren't necessarily the go-to places anymore, but it's much better to go there than eat fast food. Much better. I think I had bad service, and I think what it was, I forgot about the whole when I wasn't able to get fried food, that really threw off how I felt about going to that place. It really threw it off. And as this temperature drops, I'm gonna cut this damn air off. It is a hell of a lot more comfortable though. Sidney said, I ate Brussels sprouts for the first time about 5 years ago. Okay, I don't feel as bad. The other times I had an opportunity, there were other vegetables around that I was aware of and that I liked, and I just didn't feel like experimenting when I had that. There were just too many food choices. There were just too many. Speaking of, we have none other than Sluggo, the motherfucking ham on the train. What's going on, Sluggo? Thank you for coming aboard, sir. Hope you are enjoying the ride thus far. Sluggo with the hey Sluggo, if you don't mind, and I can you can do it, if you don't want to talk about it over the air. But let us know when your daughter decides where she wants to go. Where she wants to go. Latest, do I have a latest TSA update? I'll do that a little bit later. Nothing outstanding, I believe. We got Chef McFeezy on the train. What up, McFeezy? Thank you for coming aboard, sir. Hope you are enjoying the ride thus far. I know McFeezy's shaking his head at me about the damn Brussels sprouts. Sluggo said, "What is your biggest beef with onions?" I don't understand. I'm gonna finish your chat, sir. But to get that question at this point in the show, I mean, I thought this was made clear, but okay. Sluggo said, "What's your biggest beef with onions?" It can't be the taste, as you use onion powder. Is it the texture? Texture has a lot to do with it, and for whatever reason, I just don't consider onion powder the same as eating onions. Now, okay, like when I was younger and I was, when I was a kid and growing up, when mom used to bake things in the oven, she would smother some of it in peppers and onions. I would simply just remove the peppers and the onions and eat it. But I didn't, it wasn't like the flavor that was left on it bothered me. So I just never wanted to eat the onion. So it's probably a texture thing. So again, I think I got through that thought as I said that gumbos and soups, something like the Cajun jambalaya pasta, something I can lose the dish in, I'll go ahead and use it. I'll go ahead and use some shallots and, cook them into dust, cook them into oblivion and allow them to become part of the meal. But I want them to, my onions, the only thing I've actually put an onion in, I didn't eat. That was when I made that collard green gumbo for my family in Ohio. And it wasn't because of the onions that I didn't eat it, because by the time I got done with it, I'll say this out loud, which I never was agree with this before, but you couldn't taste those damn onions. Now, by the time I got done doing what I did to them and cooking them down and chopping them down or nothing, that was the only time I used an actual onion. I think it was a white onion. But any other time I've made a dish just for myself, I use shallots. But I didn't not participate in that collard green gumbo because of the onions. I put pork in it. I just made it, to the recipe for everybody else to get at. So it had connectors in it, so I wasn't going to eat that. But something like that, I can get away with it. Now, next time I make collard green gumbo, I'm still not going to put onions in it. I'll put some shallots in it, but I'm still not going to use onions. But again, I'm softening on it a little bit. I'm softening on it just a little bit. I've been privy to some dishes. I've had some things made for me that, onions were in and made in a certain way. And again, I've had this happen before. I'm aware of there were several other dishes that I know for a fact that the onion was in it and it was made in a way where I didn't taste it. So I know that can happen. So I'm not crazy. It's just for myself. I always said I'm just not going to use them. And now I'm still really not going to use them that much. But I put onion powder in damn near everything. So there's some hypocrisy there, but I'm still. And again, when I'm putting the onion powder in, it can't be okay, when I'm cutting up an onion, even a shallot, it's a small act of torture cutting those damn things up. I get none of that using onion powder. So it's really not the same thing. So I'm sure it's not the same thing. It's just not. It's just not. But obviously, I don't have the biggest problem with the flavor. Obviously. What is your biggest beef with onions is a crazy ass phrase. Biggest beef. McFeezy said, did Ninja say fettuccine Alfredo? No. I don't care for Alfredo. What in the Norwegian? Did Ninja say fettuccine Alfredo? What in the Norwegian? Is this now the Underground Culinary Railroad? You're funny, sir. No, but at the beginning of the show, I do run through things I've been on. No, what I said I made was Cajun jambalaya pasta. And I don't know if I finished my thought with that. I didn't. The reason why it's to a degree it's tomato based, but the reason why I can eat it is that it's not submerged in it, and it's tomato based, but it's a Cajun dish, so it's a Cajun dish, so it has spice to it. So I think for that reason and the fact that it's just enough sauce to like coat the noodles and everything and just become a part of the dish, but it's not swimming in it. So I think that's why it doesn't bother me. I didn't finish that thought earlier. I have a bad habit of doing that. But it was Cajun jambalaya pasta, sir. And I was speaking about how I used to order that from Cheesecake Factory, but I stopped doing it because once I made it for myself, it was a lot better. And I ran through the recipe. It's very, very quick recipe. Once the prep is done, no, I let it simmer too long for 30 minutes. So, I mean, an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. And that's just because I let things simmer. But it's a really quick recipe once you get everything done. But, came out really well. But no, I don't care for Alfredo, sir. Now, a Cajun Alfredo, like when you add spice to these things that I'm not necessarily with, it makes them a little more tolerable. So, Cajun Alfredo pasta, I can tolerate that. Your regular Alfredo, I'm kind of leery. I'm kind of leery on that. It's not that I dislike the taste of it, but me and milk. Me and milk aren't the best of friends nowadays. We got my man Jungle Brother for Zulu Cast on the train. What's going on, Jungle Brother? Jungle Brother was the man that got me my start in the podcasting game. Thank you for coming aboard, sir. Hope you are enjoying the ride thus far. Hey, a lot of those shows you send me links for, man, I'm able to jump in, but sometimes I just don't chat. A little bit busy. Atypical back and forth. Mac Feezy saying MSNBC Jungle. Jungle Brother coming back and saying Fox News for real. Thank you for coming aboard, sir. Sidney Jackson said, I feel the same way about bell peppers as you do onions. That's crazy. Okay, Sidney Jackson said, I feel the same way about bell peppers as you do onions. Can't win with them. Can't cook with them. Can't do it. Can't win with them. Can't cook with them. Can't do it. Won't do it. I love peppers. I love bell peppers. So, I've heard that before too. Yeah, that's interesting dynamic, sir. You can keep the onions, but if you short my bell peppers, I'm going to be upset. Love bell peppers. Stuffed peppers is one of my favorite dishes to this day. One of my favorite dishes to this day. Yeah, I used to be y'all know this. Like, I don't do lasagna anymore or spaghetti or anything like that for a lot of reasons, but stuffed peppers, I don't know. I have to think about it. But top 10 for sure. Probably top 5 or 6 of things. If I'm going to make something I'm really going to enjoy, stuffed peppers in the top 5 or 6. Easy. Jungle Brother said, Fox News for real.
You're a goddamn genius. You must have a goddamn IQ of 160. You are goddamn gifted. You're a goddamn genius. You must have a goddamn IQ of 160. You are goddamn gifted.
Now, Sidney Jackson, that's a little disrespectful to speak about bell peppers in that manner. Okay, that's wild. So you like onions, but not bell peppers? Like, how's that possible? That seems ass backwards. Yeah, okay, do your thing, sir. Me being as picky as I am, I can't speak on somebody else's palate. And again, before I get ready to do the show, I don't think y'all can see it, but the shirt says, this is one of those 5150 shirts. It says, fuck the NFL with a FUQ. It says, fuck the NFL. That signifies my love-hate relationship with football. Love it and hate it at the same time. So wearing a shirt that says fuck the NFL when I still watch it is wild. Like hanging up the phone on the broad and calling her right back. Sluggo said, I had no idea it was NBA All-Star Weekend until I saw a blur about it. Until I saw a blur about the slam dunk contest. Okay, so it wasn't just me. So Sluggo wasn't aware either. And I by the time I saw something, I think it was Sunday. But again, that can happen to me because I look at social media, but not like that. If you're somebody that really kind of looks into it and fishes and checks everything that day, you're probably going to find that out. But I did not know. I was completely unaware. Sidney Jackson said, I was aware of the NBA festivities, but I chose to watch the documentary on the ABA. I think I did see an advertisement for that. Okay, cool. So even a big basketball fan like Sidney Jackson did not watch the NBA All-Star festivities. Instead, you chose to partake in a documentary. Okay. Jungle Butter said, All-Star game was on NBC. Whenever something isn't on the four-letter network, they don't tell anyone during their telecast. And again, I don't watch the four-letter network, so that wouldn't have affected my ability, my knowledge of the game anyway. But just how can you call yourself a sports network when you hold back or limit your coverage or discussions about something if your company doesn't benefit for it? Like, that's not sports coverage at that point. You're kind of doing something else. At this point. At that point, that's that I don't care for. Yeah, that's some bullshit right there, sir. Great point, but if you're gonna call yourself a sports network, whether you're aware of it or not, to not speak about it is borderline criminal.
Man, you sorry.
It almost disqualifies you as a network of sports coverage. So we don't have this particular sport, so we're not going to cover it with passion. Okay, that's when business and sports meet. Don't care for it on a personal level. Can't say that I care for that at all. I have nothing in here of significance. Give me one quick second. I'm about to click this damn air. I have cooled things down enough. It's starting to get a tad bit damn frigid. Nothing at all. Oh, let me give you this. 1 second.
Hello, good people. This is a PSA from TSA. You are listening to the Underground Railroad Show at Spreaker.com. I am the great TSA with my assistant, That Ninja. I'm sorry for the lack of attendance. I was busy spiking faces and beating data dominoes. TSA out.
Who told you that?
My apologies, but shit, that AC was kicking my ass. My apologies. Okay, that had a little something to do with it, but I mean, still, even if they don't advertise it, people that watch basketball and care about it will still be aware of it. But I feel what you're saying when it comes to the majority of the people that take their cue from the four-letter network, that would have a lot to do with it. But that really doesn't concern like a Sydney. But I understand what you mean from a national standpoint and if it affected the viewpoint of the game. But it is interesting to know that they're not covering it with any type of passion. But when have they ever had the All-Star game, though? Wasn't the All-Star game like on TNT before that? At any rate. Oh, wait a minute. I actually got too far ahead. My bad. Sluggo said, have you seen Tulsa King? I've started Tulsa King and Landman while on vacation, but haven't gotten around to finishing either. I saw some of Tulsa King, and I actually liked it. I think, you know what? No, I didn't watch the entire first season, but I saw a few episodes. I haven't went back to it. You know what? No, I'm lying. I saw little pieces of Tulsa King. Maybe one episode, two pieces of a few episodes, but I haven't really sat down and watched it. The little bit I saw, I was cool with. But I actually would need to go back and watch Tulsa King. I actually haven't watched that one. I haven't watched Tulsa King. I know y'all gave me several recommendations. Tulsa King might have been one. Several people told me about Landman. I've gotten several recommendations, but I have so many things I need to go back and watch There are so many things to go back and watch. But right now, yeah, I'm kind of into this. So Mayor Kingstown has multiple seasons. I'm going to go back and continue to watch it. I'm going to keep watching Watson. That's just something I like on a personal level. And I'm going to keep rolling with Landman. Landman is going to be a lot easier to catch up with. As I understand it, they're in their second season now. I'm like on episode 10 of the first one. So I'm going to catch up with that. But they didn't waste any time to get your attention. But great time of year for binge watching series, after football season. I'll watch some round ball, but it won't have my attention like football would. So this is a good time of year to binge watch series for me, before grass gets busy, side work and all of that. And then there are so many series that have been recommended that I just haven't gotten around to. Like Watson was just something I picked up. I was Mayor Kingstown and Landman were recommended. I still have so many other ones. Like I can't. Somebody recommended Tulsa King. Right now, it slips my mind. Y'all, it's probably things that y'all are watching right now. But they're at least I haven't watched Snowfall. I haven't even watched Snowfall. Like there are a billion things I could watch. I literally need to write these things down and pick things up. But I haven't even watched Snowfall yet, so I got several things I could watch. Sidney Jackson said, NBC has to get rid of Reggie Miller. He ruins every event he's involved in. Reggie Miller has always had an awkward speaking voice. But, on a personal level, there haven't really been... I gave up on sports commentary a long time ago. Even when they're doing a decent job initially, it always turns into some bullshit. It always turns into something... It just turns into bullshit. Jungle Brother said the four-letter network shitted all over the All-Star game because it wasn't on their platform. They did the same thing to the WNBA. That doesn't surprise me. That sounds very four-letter networkish. And I thank you for the info because I wouldn't be aware, being that I'm so frustrated with their programming that I would not be aware. But to the four-letter network and that particular strategy and technique when it comes to your commentary on things that you don't benefit from financially, so-called leader in sports. And you see they're acquiring every network. NFL Network was the main network that opposed them. And as I was talking to the yellow one, he reminded me and/or told me that the four-letter network acquired the NFL Network. So just cut out the competition by acquiring the competition. So all of the opinions are in solidarity. All of the opinions are orchestrated to a degree. One of the many reasons I'm not a fan, but to the four-letter network and all of its affiliates and your current practices when it comes to sports.
You rotten bums! You're all garbage! All of you!
Like right then, I didn't pause long enough, and I'm sure that soundbite stepped on what I was saying. But their current practices as it pertains to their sports coverage, just what Jungle described as one of the many reasons why I stopped watching.
You rotten bums! You're all garbage! All of you!
Sluggo said, go chalk, sir. This is referring back to the March Madness bracket, the posting in the paint bracket. Go chalk, sir, and you will be at least in it. You normally get eliminated early when you pick too many upset picks. Oh, no, trust me, sir. All I'm doing is going chalk because that's all I can do. I'm not stepping out there. The only time that I'm essentially going chalk until you get to the point where maybe I have some knowledge about said teams, and when you check the estimates and where they're at as far as the probability and where they're being picked, when it's really close to call and it's just either or, that's usually what make or breaks me, because other than that, I just go chalk. So that's usually what's going to make or break me, and I generally do okay with those. And then sometimes you just have those upsets. But sir, yeah, all I do is go chalk. I don't have enough information to do anything other than to go chalk. Now, if I was to do two of them, if I do like two, then maybe one of them I would take. Well, not maybe. One of them I would take liberties. Because, I mean, the way that it's been going, it can't get any worse, quite frankly. It can't get any worse. McFeezy said, I'm on season 2 of Cross on Amazon and on season 4 of The Lincoln Lawyer. Ah, The Lincoln Lawyer. I need to watch the new season. I'm caught up with The Lincoln Lawyer. I need to watch the new season, which is 4. So the Lincoln Lawyer is good. Yeah, that's one of my shows too. So I'm good. I'm getting ready to watch the new season of The Lincoln Lawyer. So I'm with you on The Lincoln Lawyer, and I'm with you on Cross. I need to finish season 1. Like, I got distracted and I didn't finish season 1. I'm like on the last 2-3 episodes. So I need to finish season 1 so I can go ahead and jump into season 2. But yeah, Cross as well. So Cross, I need to finish season 1, then I'll get into season 2. And I need to go ahead and watch. I got into these other series. I forgot about Lincoln Lawyer because I saw that the new season's there. So yeah, I'm ready to watch Lincoln Lawyer myself. Good series. And I think it's a really, as a viewer, somebody that doesn't mind, watching series and getting lost in it or whatever, good downtime shit. When you can just watch, when you don't have to wait. When we grew up, there was something to the anticipation and waiting for next week's episode. But when you can just sit there and, man, that shit's cool. Perfect example, The Wire. Have access to that 24/7 Wire channel. When I had some time, when it was whatever was going on, I was chilling off weekend, whatever the hell was going on. I had some dead time and I zoned out on The Wire and got a whole new appreciation for it because I was able to watch everything back to back to back to back. So all the information was still fresh in my head and I was picking up things that I had missed before. And some of the seasons where I was inconsistent, I got to go back and catch all those episodes. So being able to just watch it back to back, especially when everything's fresh on your head, it just allows you to kind of comprehend the story better as well. So it can be addictive. It can be addictive. So generally, if I binge watch, I try to do it during non-productive hours. But at any rate, if that even makes sense. Let me get through this chat. But yeah, I'm on Cross as well, sir. 2 good series right there. Cross and The Lincoln Lawyer. Whole point about watching back to back, like The Lincoln Lawyer, when it comes out, whole season's right there. Hop on that shit and go, man. That shit is cool. You don't gotta wait. There's something to be said for anticipation, but I like the fact that you can just sit there and watch every episode back to back. And you can stay engaged with the story. If it's last week's episode, and that's why they always give you the rerun so you can remember the key points, but there's something about it being fresh on your brain. You just got done watching it, and in the next episode, it's 30 seconds away as opposed to 6 days or 7 days. That really helped with The Wire. Like, as I was watching The Wire, I'm like, some of the stuff I missed, and some of it was just so easy to see because you didn't have to wait on the episode. For something like The Wire, that was really necessary. I've never watched Game of Thrones, but from what I understand, they have so many storylines going that you cannot turn your head away. So something like that, it would probably, as you watch it after the fact, it would be much better for somebody like me when you can watch it back to back and, have everything fresh on your mind so you don't miss it or be able to stop and be like, oh, hold on, what happened? Rewind and all of that. But there's just too many things to watch right now. So I'm not sure when I'm going to get back on that. Too many things to watch. Sluggo said the train could take a trip to Amsterdam so that the conductor can smoke some legal reefer. I don't have to go all the way to Amsterdam for that, sir. We have too many places in the U.S. I can do that in, sir. Sidney Jackson says, Chef Mac, yes, that's the one on Prime. Oh, yeah. Cross is that shit. Sluggo said, yes, sir, will do. Okay. I don't know. What would I call this? I believe this is this is another one of those. Where my damn towel at, man? As I'm fogged up. Oh, that is much better. Okay, that's somebody just streaming. Matt Feezy said, funny thing is, I made Parmesan Brussels sprouts as a side that went with Dijon honey mustard pork loin at work. Dijon honey mustard pork loin. Okay, Okay. Oh, you made that at work. Parmesan Brussels sprouts. Nice, nice. The Brussels sprouts I had were real good. I'm gonna have to ask what was on them. I have no idea. They were really good though. I crushed them. They were really good. Dijon honey mustard pork loin. On pork, I can see that. Again, I know every now and again, people get that joke. I slipped up and had a rib bone, and I had to have a few more. I know Ryan told that story one time. Oh yeah, let me say this too, because I almost went on the cruise and I made a little last minute pivot. I plan on probably going next year. We'll wait and see on that. But shout out to the Stews in their first annual cruise. I'm sure before long I'll be a participant on that. Shout out to the Stews stepping out and doing that. That's big. That's big. Doing the cruise is big. And especially if you can set it up and have activities that are geared more towards us. I know ideally what I wanted to do back in the day, I'm not sure if they still do it, the Tom Joyner cruise. It was just at the time, because I think half of the damn fee really went to a donation, if not damn near more than that. But it was a nice little chunk. But I wanted to do that just for the simple fact that all the acts and all the activities and everything, were centered towards us. So instead of karaoke, I think it was karaoke, and they had good acts. Like there were people we actually wanted to see performing. I think I know Heels went on the Tom Joyner cruise. I don't know how many other people in Stu Nation went, but I remember Heels went, and she had those pictures. She went at least once, and had a bunch of really good pictures with a lot of people that were there. So that was one that I want. I like to do something geared like that. So Stu's cruise would be something like that as well. So shout out to the Stews that just had their first annual cruise, man. That's pretty cool. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to make the next one. Mac Feezy said, "Why are you leery on Alfredo sauce? Is it texture, taste, or something else?" No, it's it kind of depends. Now I've had some Alfredo that I'm cool with, but my body doesn't care for it because little cream based, little bit of milk and the cheese and whatnot. I'm not the biggest fan of anything semi cheese based nowadays. So I'll do cheese, but I'm a little, I do cheese, but it's a lot less than what it used to be. That's why I'm not a lasagna person anymore. I'm pretty much damn near. If I do pizza now, man, I get like a small or a medium. And if you actually know me, that's a crazy statement. But I have to get, it has to be quality. And I'm not really going to get much more than a small or a medium. I actually kind of like that semi-traditional thing that doesn't have too much cheese now because of the way I am. I'm just not the biggest cheese person anymore. And Alfredo, quite to put it frankly, doesn't agree with my system, sir. But again, Cajun Alfredo seems to work for me. Cajun Alfredo, probably like if I was to make a blackened Cajun Alfredo pasta, something like that, blackened chicken pasta, a little Cajun Alfredo or whatever, I can get away with that. But just the Alfredo pasta, I have no problem with the taste of it at all. It's just that me and cheese and like dairy products and whatnot, I've just kind of left that alone. Now, having said that, I'll still make some dishes that may require heavy cream. It's not like it destroys me or anything like that. But I've just kind of backed away from Alfredo. I've backed away from Alfredo. Back far away from it. Sluggo said, lots of rabbit dancing in the Game of Thrones, but excellent series overall. Okay, sir. Okay. If you co-sign it like that, that's something I can go back and watch. We got my man RC on the train. What up, RC? Thank you for coming aboard, sir. RC said, what up, everybody? Was over at the YouTube channel listening to the show. So, okay, you know what, RC? I did see that you followed me too. Appreciate that. I've thought about and suggested going over there. It seems like, and maybe like people need to follow me. So maybe look for that ninja on YouTube because there's going to be I'm probably, because of the way that Twitch is with the chat and the restrictions where you have to find a way to articulate yourself in order to get your point across on Twitch. Perhaps we can get away with a little bit more on YouTube. Maybe the Facebook feed. Speaking of which, let me check it because half the time I don't think to look on it. Like the show will be over and I'll go back and look and see some chat on the damn Facebook feed. So am I looking at the right one? Okay, just making sure. If I check it, I'm good. If I forget to check it, I'll go back and see something. Thanks for coming aboard, RC. All right, man, let me go ahead and get into it. That went longer than I thought. Let me not speak on that. Let me just keep it pushing. RC the jeweler and the boxing aficionado who saved me one show. I can't remember what I was discussing. It wasn't my opening, but it was something that I brought up, and he expounded upon my subject matter. I'm trying to remember. It was either Muhammad Ali or Jack Johnson. I think it might have been Ali. It was Muhammad Ali or Jack Johnson. I think it was Ali, and RC dropped several jewels that added to the context of the show. Shout out to the jeweler. Does the same thing. Gained that name mainly for Hip Hop Friday. I call him a jeweler because of those boxing gems on a personal level. All right, let's get into it. The title of today's show, my prognostication review. I'm simply going to go over my preseason football thoughts in college and pro football and just basically see how the season's – we're going to see how the season's outcome lined up with my predictions. This is also what's known, and I don't think I finished this thought earlier. This is also what would be known as accountability. So I'm just simply holding myself accountable for the things that I thought would happen before the season started, and the things, some of my really strong opinions that I might have said with my chest. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to start with college football. And let me just say, in college and pro football. In college and pro football. If I was a bed man and I didn't have the money to pay my bookies, I'd probably get some of that stereotypical movie treatment.
Say what, son? Get up. Say what, son? Get up. Say what, son? Oh, my God.
I had a terrible year of prognostication.
What was that? What was that?
Let's go ahead and start here. We're going to start with college football. The Arkansas Razorbacks. The yellow one has been on me about this one. The yellow one has been on me about this one repeatedly. He's been on me about this one repeatedly. The Arkansas Razorbacks have everything you need to be successful, and they just can't seem to get over the hump. They've had these problems over the year. I felt that they had one of the best quarterbacks coming back in college football. Still feel that way. They have everything you need. I felt like their coach would hold them back. He was so conservative, wouldn't allow the game to be played out. Anytime they had a lead, he'd always want to play it close to the vest, hold it, and allow the other teams to come back, take his team out of rhythm. But with Taylor Green at quarterback, I felt, and coming back in his second year with Petrino calling the plays, and my hope was that the head coach, who did get fired during the season last year, would not get in the way and allow the offense to play. And, they have all the talent in the world. So with the right coach, and I'm not sure who got that job, but with the right coach, I think Arkansas could really be something. With all of that being said, before the season, I thought that, and I didn't say it with my chest necessarily, but I definitely thought that Arkansas would be viable. They would be viable and be in the conversation towards the end of the year. Unfortunately, Arkansas didn't have, it wasn't a terrible get your ass kicked, you're a terrible team year. But what they did do was have one of the most ridiculous, heartbreaking ass years I've ever seen. Arkansas had multiple football games where they outplayed their opponent or played right with their opponent and literally found a way to lose in the last damn minute. They lost so many games in the last minute and or 30 seconds. 5 I can think about off the top of my head. They lost probably 5 games in the last 30 seconds where they were either winning or right there or made a comeback. They were right there about to get the win. Same receiver got stripped twice. running back or receiver fumbled, kicker missed the kick, other team got down the field because the defense couldn't stop them, and they got a touchdown when there was barely time left, or got a field goal with time running off of the clock. They lost at least 5 games like that. Then they would be inconsistent and lose, and they just ended up having a terrible record. But they weren't. They weren't. The record didn't reflect the ability of the team. They played much better than their record, but at the end of the day, they lost all of those tight games, which led them to a terrible season, a subpar record. And not only did they not improve and become a contender, if I'm not mistaken, I think they actually had a worse year than they did the prior year from a record aspect. So basically what it came down to was Arkansas was never clutch. So one prediction that I had, I thought that Arkansas, I didn't think they were going to be undefeated or the greatest team in the world. But looking at their schedule, I thought they were going to have a very good year. And I remember now what I said about Arkansas. I said if Arkansas loses 3 games or more than 3 games, then I'm going to kill them. I said if they lose more than 3 games, then they should fire the coach or something terrible is going on, or they've had a terrible year, or they've truly failed. Because the way the schedule was set up, in my opinion, they actually had some tough teams to play, but I felt they were a solid squad. But they lost so many tight games. They weren't viable at all. They were competitive. They were a tough out for the most part, but they were not clutch. They were not clutch. For whatever reason, Arkansas could never pull off those last-minute victories. They could never pull off those last-minute victories. Then there were just other games where they got their teeth kicked in, like losing to Missouri 31-17. Arkansas finished the season. Let me make sure I'm not wrong about that. 2-12, if I'm not mistaken. Arkansas finished 2-12. 2-12. 2-12. And at the beginning of the year, I said that they would be viable and compete.
As stupid as a stupid does.
Stupid as stupid doesn't. Stupid as stupid does, sir.
Brilliance is the best brilliance is brilliance born from someone ignorant.
Man, you sorry.
Yep, Arkansas
You're
will be viable.
Genius. You must have a goddamn IQ of 160. You are goddamn gifted.
South Carolina. I thought South Carolina would be a viable team. Had a pretty good year the prior year. Played great football. 2 of the games that they lost, they literally got cheated by the damn referees. They didn't want them to lose to LSU. And I can't remember the other game. But there were 2 games where they got blatantly cheated. One was LSU, and I can't remember the other one. This past year, it took them too long to get it together. I don't know why they had such a slow start. Some of it was close losses. Some of it was losing their starting quarterback, and they had, instead of Aaron Nolan, they put this other dude in that didn't play worth a damn. And I think they might have lost every game he played in. Maybe they won 1 and they lost the rest of them, but they didn't have a good or viable backup. After that, South Carolina started playing good football. They didn't necessarily win all of their games, but after that, I saw the South Carolina I saw in the previous year. But South Carolina came out and looked nothing like the team that they were the year prior. I expected to see improvement. I thought that if anything happened to their starting quarterback, that Aaron Nolan was going to be behind him, so they'd be in good shape either way. And such wasn't the case. He ended up getting hurt, and they actually had Aaron Nolan at third string. But South Carolina, a team that I thought was now South Carolina, I 100% said with my chest they were going to be viable. They were going to vie for the SEC championship, and they should make the playoffs. Those are my thoughts when it came to the South Carolina Gamecocks, considering their quarterback and the way they played the year before. I thought they were going to be viable, and nothing could have been further than the truth. They just started out the year very slowly. They were sputtering. They were sputtering. It took them 4 or 5 games, damn near 6 games to get their feet up under them. South Carolina ended the year 4-8. Again, these are two teams that even I'm not saying they were going to win it all, but in no way did I think these teams are going to be under 500. No way at all. But South Carolina, I thought for sure they were going to be in the playoffs. 4-8.
Get your ass down!
Not the best prognosticator in the world, apparently.
What was that?
4-8. 4-8. Even losing to Clemson. Good God. What a terrible year for South Carolina. So in college football, Arkansas and South Carolina, dead wrong. Colorado, I didn't really say anything with my chest, just screaming at the top of my lungs. But looking at their schedule, what they did last year, the improvement that I thought and or hoped that they would have, I look for Colorado to be right there in the Big 12 that I didn't think was that strong. And I felt like they could come out of that conference. It's the same way Texas Tech kind of came out of nowhere. I felt like Colorado could pull that off. They did not. Colorado regressed. They still had the same problems on defense, not being able to stop the run. Offensively, they did a little better with the run. But they didn't improve as much as they needed to defensively. They weren't a strong running team. They didn't have as good an offensive attack. I think a lot of that is the OC and the game plan, which that guy's getting a complete and total pass. I don't like Coach Prime's choice of offensive coordinator. I think it would help drastically to get a better OC and try to give your team a better chance. Colorado disappointed me severely, going 3-9 on the year. Again, these are teams that I thought would be viable. If not saying that I didn't scream at the top of my lungs, these teams will win the title, but I thought all of them would compete for their conference. And every team that I've spoken about thus far is well, and I mean well under 500. Colorado went 3-9. Couldn't cut it defensively. Game plan not good enough. Not making firm decisions at the quarterback position. Playing a quarterback that when they took the starter out and put in the Caucasian fellow for 2 or 3 games, it didn't make any sense whatsoever. But it just seems like, that's what you do when you're looking for somebody to blame, as opposed to just improving your game plan and competing. But there was a reason that guy was starting and a reason that guy wasn't playing. I'm not sure what they were doing when they did that, costing themselves even more football games. But Colorado, another one of the teams that I thought would be competing for their conference title that didn't even have a 500 record. Another team I've been speaking about for a couple of years, Michigan State.
Get your ass down!
Yet another team that I was 100% certain with, and I don't know why I'm blanking on the quarterback right now, but with the quarterback that they had, the coach that came from Oregon State brought the quarterback with him. I felt like they were going to take that next step, compete in the Big Ten to be one of the teams right there with the Ohio State and that school up north to compete for the conference. And I did say with my chest, I believe Michigan State will compete in the Big Ten this year. Michigan State ended up being 4-8.
Man, you sorry. Man, you sorry.
Oh, sorry. That's not right.
I'm on a roll. South Carolina, Arkansas, Colorado, and Michigan State, all teams that I thought would compete in their respective conferences, and every single team thus far under 500. Yet another team I thought would compete in the Big Ten. Maryland, coached by the great Mike Locksley. Maryland went 4-8 as well. I like the fact that he had a local kid at quarterback, true freshman, but showed a lot of skill as a true freshman. I like the fact that Maryland appears to be giving them time to get it together. I haven't had my nose to the ground. As far as I know, he hasn't been fired. Maybe he has. I don't know. I'd like for him to still get more time to try to get it together. Maybe Maryland knows who they are, and they're going to give him time. I don't know. But A very, very disappointing. Maryland's another team that I said has no business losing more than 3 or 4 games. And they went 4-8. They went 4-8. It just comes down to competing, looking decent. And there were several games where there were some play calls where in my mind I'm thinking, man, Mike, you need to take the play calling duties away from whoever the OC is right now. Getting a local kid, true freshman, probably being able to keep him there and having the same quarterback for a few years is going to benefit the program. But when it's all said and done, my prognostication was that all these teams I'm speaking about would at a bare minimum compete in the conference. Maryland went 4-8. They did not compete. They lost a lot of close games, and a lot of games, quite frankly, they just got their ass kicked. I'm glad I'm not a betting man. Maryland, again, with a terrible season. South Carolina, Arkansas, Colorado, Michigan State, and Maryland, all teams that I thought would compete, all under 500. Now let's get into one more. Florida State. Florida State. Now, this I did not say with my chest. But what I did say is that they're going to be fun to watch. And if they, because what it appeared to be with Castellanos is that Malzone was finally doing the one thing that he never does and implementing enough passing to go along with that offense. When they run the ball well, you should implement more play action that would make that offense deadly, like it was with Nick Marshall. They did that against Alabama in the first game and literally didn't look the same for the rest of the season offensively. Florida State ended up having another terrible year when I thought they were going to turn the corner with Castellanos at quarterback, running an offense that his skill set his skill set was beneficial to being in that offense, but Florida State could not figure it out. Now, that's not a team that I thought was going to be great, and I was saying it with my chest. But after that first game, I felt like Florida State would be competitive and fun to watch. And they ended up being neither. They went 5-7. Fought hard in some games, and then they lost a lot of close games, and they fought in a lot of games and just fell apart in the second half and fourth quarter. But I thought that they would be a lot more competitive than that. This is not a team I necessarily thought would compete, but after the first game, I was excited to watch them, and I thought they would be fun to watch and competitive, and such did not end up being the case as the season continued. Florida State went 5-7, yet and still another team that did not even make it to the 500 mark. Now, these last two teams are teams that I thought would not have a good year, or they at least weren't on my radar, and they ended up having a great year. Ironically, the teams that were in the championship game. No, let me make sure I'm not lying. No, I'm not lying. The teams that were in the championship game, Miami and Indiana, had no expectations for either. For Miami, Carson Beck at quarterback, I know he sucks. I didn't think much of that. Because the prior year, when they had Cameron Ward, and he broke the NCAA passing record yardage record, passing record. They had absolutely no defense, and every game he was in a shootout. Not only did they have no defense, they had no consistent running game, and they had a bullshit offensive line. In 1 year, they fixed all of that. They had an outstanding defense now. They have a great running game with a running back that looked to be at least 6'2", can run in between the tackles and run away from people. And they have talent at the wide receiver position. All things that Cameron Ward never had. Still had a garbage quarterback, but that defense and running game carried them for the course of the year in the conference they were in. And I looked up, they made it to the damn playoffs and managed to get to the championship game. You have to give them credit for that. Miami, I thought that they would not be viable with Carson Beck at quarterback. He would find a way to lose. And after so many games, what Miami did was say, this guy is average. So instead of trying to justify the money we gave him, we're going to take the ball out of his hands, play defense, run the ball, ask very little of him, and see where we end up. They ended up in the title game. Shout out to Miami playing team football and not allowing an overrated quarterback to hurt them and making it to the fucking title game. Never saw that coming. Never saw that coming. Congratulations to Miami making it to the title game. I never thought you would do it with Carson Beck at quarterback, but I had no idea of the vast improvements they made over the course of a year. Because I watched them with Cameron Ward, and when I tell you they had no defense, they had no damn defense. and now you come back with one of the best defenses in the country. Shout out to the recruitment, the use of the NIL, and the coaching, defensively and with the running game, and the offensive and defensive lines. The U did an outstanding job. You just didn't have enough sense to go get an actual quarterback.
You're a goddamn genius. You must have a goddamn IQ of 160. You are goddamn gifted.
For improving the defense, improving the interior line offensively and defensively, and having a beast of a running back. Picking up weapons on offense that your quarterback couldn't get the damn ball to. So you had everything, but we never got to see the offense come to fruition because of who you had at quarterback. So you did well for your fans. And let me make sure I'm not tripping. Didn't they make it to, am I tripping? You did well for your fans. But you shorted your fans by not giving them everything you could have given them offensively.
You're robbing us, you son of a bitch. You're robbing us, you son of a bitch.
And that's a direct result of having Carson Beck at quarterback. And Indiana, and I have to give them credit, at the end of the day, they got the job done and got the games won, and they ended up winning the title. There's nothing else to be said about that. I never believed in Indiana for the entire season. And even as I'm giving them their credit now, I'm still not jumping for joy, but you can't deny what they did. They went undefeated. They won the title. Weak-ass schedule, the same as ours in the Big Ten. But when it came down to the playoffs and the matchups that were in front of them, they handled business. Indiana went undefeated and won the title. Never saw that shit coming. And up until they won the title, I did not believe in Indiana at all. So in college football, once again, I'm glad I'm not a betting man because obviously I don't know shit.
Man, you sorry.
I couldn't pick a damn thing. My college football season was garbage from a prognostication standpoint.
As stupid as a stupid does.
Stupid is, stupid doesn't. Stupid is, stupid does, sir.
You're a goddamn genius. You must have a goddamn IQ of 160. You are goddamn gifted.
This is the Underground Railroad Show hosted by your boy, Ed Ninja. That was my college football prognostication review, and it was piss poor. An F-, a 0, an incomplete. A why did you show up anyway would be on my scorecard. Garbage, horrible, and not aesthetically pleasing for me on a personal level as far as the teams that made it through and made it to the title game and the main storylines throughout the course of the year. Quite frankly, it was nauseating. If I'm telling the truth, it was nauseating. Mac Feezy said, Ninja needs to go on to the U.S. Virgin Islands for some good smoke. May have some information on that shortly, sir. Sluggo said, last year I barely placed bets because the college game has changed so much with NIL. I just can't call it with the group of 5 teams, which was once my advantage. You're right about that. There's they've done something to level the playing field to a degree and to make it very sporadic and hard to pick. But great point, sir. Great point, sir. It's hard to pick. But I was pretty confident about what teams that I thought would be competitive. It doesn't mean you're going to make it to the title game or win everything, but I thought I had a handle on who would be competitive, and I obviously did not. But a great point, sir. Jungle, great point. This is basically what happened to me. Jungle said, with Taylor Green, I expected Arkansas to be a problem in the SEC, but they turned out to be everybody's homecoming game. They did. And I didn't think that was going to be the case. And to a degree, once again, most random ass hiccups ever. But I thought the same thing, and there were some games where they got their ass kicked. And again, this is the NFL, so there was some bullshit every now and again, but that is what it is. But they lost several close games against some good teams, some against some so-so teams, and some games they got their ass kicked. It was just a terrible damn year. Terrible year. Just didn't see that coming. Sluggo said, allegedly, the SEC will no longer dominate college football under the NIL era. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, Arkansas won Indiana won everything, but it's just that, it's okay. I still don't think Indiana would have went through the SEC West or the SEC period and went undefeated. I don't think Ohio State would have went through the SEC and went undefeated. And maybe in the NIL, it helps even more to have as soft a regular season schedule as possible. I mean, but it is what it is. It is what it is. We'll see, sir, as it continues. We'll see. And then when you do the bowl games, you have so many players either transferring or opting not to play because they're going to the league or whatever reason that you don't necessarily get a full picture as it pertains to the bowl games either. So, it's kind of, it's hard to judge it from the bowl games, I guess, that aren't necessarily the playoff games. And even in that situation, you just have to watch each game and take it for what it is, man, just as far as how it's being played out. Once again, it is the Underground Railroad Show hosted by your boy, That Ninja. We're going to get into the NFL now, and if there are any more teams, I'll try to snatch them out. These are the main ones that I had somewhat of an opinion on. And let's start with the team that I adopted, the Atlanta Falcons. Being that the SEC, the NFC South is so inconsistent. And I know last year Tampa won it with barely over 500 record, or maybe right up under 500. It might have been like that for the last 2 years. The winner of the NFC South did not have an impressive record per se. So I thought that the NFC South was attainable. I thought that Atlanta, and felt like Atlanta had very good personnel, good coach in hand. I felt like they had Michael Penix at quarterback, which was a plus. I wasn't aware of the OC and who he really is and was, so I didn't have a strong opinion about him one way or the other. But I felt like what I saw the previous year, a small sample size, was maybe going to lend to me seeing what I wanted to see from Michael Penix this year. So combined with Atlanta finding ways to beat good teams and lose to subpar teams, drop about 2 or 3 games to last-second field goals, lose games in the last minute. Again, 2 or 3 games, the last-second field goals, losing to subpar teams but beating good teams. An inconsistent season. Obvious improvements defensively. Did some good things running game. Could have protected the quarterback a little bit better. Moments of brilliance, other moments of shakiness. To me, that's game plan. To me, that's preparation. To me, that's just a team getting to know themselves. And you have to give Raheem Morris another year, if you ask me. But that's a whole another subject for another day. But as far as the team, everything about this year and the Falcons was bad for me. Penix got hurt. Dumb motherfuckers fired Raheem Morris and hired an inexperienced quarterback to run everything. Again, it's not about who has the experience. Who do I like? Ended up having a rough year. Lost several games they should have won. Quarterback got hurt, which had a lot to do with that. And he fired the coach at the end of the year. Worst case scenario for me all around. So I picked up a team that immediately fired one of the reasons that I picked him up, which is Raheem Morris being the head coach. And again, I just feel like he deserved and earned enough the improvement of the team and how many close games were lost to give him another season to let the improvements come to fruition. So I felt like he was robbed in that regard. So Atlanta ended up having an extremely disappointing year, especially for someone that decided to pick them up as their new team. So my prognostication concerning the Atlanta Falcons left little to be desired. Did not have the year that I hoped they would have. And not only did they not make the playoffs, not only did they have a disappointing year, going 8-9, just under 500, but that team, they easily should have won the NFC South, and maybe you lose 5 or 6 games, man, but that at the most. And honestly, the games that they lost, they shouldn't have. They would have ended up by 4 losses, 5 at the most. But I think they could have had a better year than that. Just a disappointing year. They should have. Falcons had the ability to win a division. They simply didn't. Going 8-9, firing Raheem Morris, injury to Michael Penix, just everything going wrong. Everything going wrong. So Atlanta was disappointing. Baltimore. Couple of things there. I don't know if there was a more disappointing team than Baltimore. Baltimore ended up going 8-9. Still should have made the playoffs at the end of the year, and damn kicker came out and missed. Kicker came out and missed a damn PAT after they broke their neck to get down the field. Should have went to overtime. No. The PAT would have won the game because the other kicker missed his kick. And he came out and choked the kick away. And the way that they were playing towards the end of the year, I would have liked to have seen Baltimore in the playoffs last year. But it wasn't meant to be. Now, one of the reasons the record was so shaky, they lost some close games. Lamar Jackson got hurt. And Baltimore, who used to have one of the best backup situations in the league, now had a horrible backup situation where they literally got rid of every quality quarterback, and they had nothing but some subpar suntan lotion using quarterbacks on the roster. So when Lamar got hurt, they had nothing. They had Cooper Rush in positive coverage, but it did not help them as a team. He maybe won one game, and they dropped unnecessary games that they didn't need to lose if they just would have kept the situation, the quarterback room situation they had intact. After seeing how insufficient he was, maybe I'll give him a little bit of credit for saying, okay, let's go back and pick up Tyrone Huntley, who then came in, righted the ship, and they played more consistent ball until Lamar Jackson came back. Went on a nice little winning streak when they were having a terrible year. We're in a position to make the playoffs, and again, ruined with a bad PAT. There was a lot more to the season than that, but if that PAT's made and they get into the playoffs and compete, nobody's really focusing on that. But Baltimore, another disappointing team, never saw that coming. Baltimore 8-9. Never saw that coming. New York Jets. I feel like in that division, they could compete. I didn't necessarily have them in the Super Bowl, but I thought they would be competitive. I thought that they would be better than previous years. Inconsistent game plan, shaky offensive line. Multiple things. Defense not stopping people. Multiple reasons the Jets had a bad year. And again, Justin Fields. And if I didn't pick the Falcons, I was heavily considering the Jets. Justin Fields ends up getting hurt. And the Jets have an extremely subpar year. Now, again, new coach, new situation. But I expected better than 3-14. And a lot of those were close losses. And keep in mind, as I'm saying this, college and pro, some of them games, there was some very questionable shit going on. But with all of that being said, they went 3-14. And, that I was confident would compete and improve, ended up 3-14. I didn't even necessarily think they were going to make the playoffs. I thought they had an outside shot because of the division they were in. But 3-14 is not the year I envisioned for the Jets. And actually, this is probably the most disappointing team and probably the most shocking thing. And again, some things were a little shade aside. Offensively, this team hadn't been the same since they lost Eric Bieniemy, but it really showed this past season. Kansas City Chiefs losing Mahomes, but this is really towards the latter part of the year, going 6-11, falling completely out of the playoff picture and out of contention. Never saw that coming. Baltimore and Kansas City not making the playoffs. Something about that's a little shaky, but okay. It was just crazy to see both of those teams find themselves in a position where they didn't even make the playoffs, which really led to a very ugly AFC and a Super Bowl I didn't give a damn about. But Kansas City going 6-11 and having the year that they had was crazy. Never saw that coming. Again, that's the biggest shock. I never saw that one coming. The Washington football team, great year last year with Jaden Daniels. I felt that they would come back and be that same team. They struggled all year. The offensive line that was the main thing that I talked about last year with them, I was shocked the way that they could block. He had all day to throw, to recognize the field, to execute the plays. The line was nowhere near what they were last year. I felt with all the improvements that they made that they would compete and be an even better team. They picked up Tunsil on the line, another lineman. They picked up my man from San Francisco, Deebo Samuel. They picked up a good running back. I can't remember who it was right now. They picked up so many good pieces, even a couple of things on defense. And I was convinced that Washington was going to compete and improved upon a good team, the team that they had last year. And everything just went sideways. So many close losses, injuries to Jaden Daniels a couple times during the season, ended up getting hurt towards the end of the year. Again, it was just a bad year for Washington. They ended up going 5-12. And I thought they would compete and be right there in the NFC. They were one game away from the Super Bowl last year. And I didn't see them falling off to that degree. Washington ended up being 5-12. So again, everything that I was looking for this past year in both college and pro did not come to fruition. Washington football team having a very bad year. Miami. I thought that Miami would compete in the AFC East. Dead wrong. Miami came in and had a worse year than the previous year. Everything fell apart. They benched Talia Tagovailoa. I'm sorry, they benched Tua Tagovailoa at one point, but I don't know why. Miami had problems, but to try to put that off on the quarterback with everything that they had going, interesting to say the least. But I get the cop out. Going 7-10, somebody's going to be held accountable. The human coach did not make it, and the Dolphins went 7-10. Unacceptable with the talent that they had. Losing Tyreek Hill didn't hurt, especially when he was injured on purpose. If I remember correctly, the guy rolled his knee. He had his leg, locked it, and rolled it. And, there was no commentary about it. But when Tyreek got hurt, I can't remember if it was a knee or what it was, ankle. But when he got hurt, that dude did that shit on purpose. Go back and watch that damn play. He did that shit on purpose. Dirty-ass play. But Miami ended up having a subpar year going 7-10. These were all teams that I thought would compete in the division. I thought they would all compete in the division. Not necessarily win it, but compete for sure. Baltimore, I thought, could win that shit. Kansas City, for sure, could win it. And none of that came to fruition, and all of these teams had very, very subpar records. Once again, I am glad I'm not a gambler because I had a horrible year of prognostication. Horrible.
Get your ass down!
This literally might be the only thing in the NFL that I was right about. And this wasn't a big deal or even hard to see. And as I glance over this, I'll see if there was anything else. The only thing I called that seemed to come to fruition was the Detroit Lions falling off a little bit. I felt like Detroit would fall off. They've had 2 good years and 3 bad ones, or maybe 2 good ones and 2 bad ones. So that they've been like 2 good years and 2 bad years, if I remember correctly. Maybe 2 and 3. And the difference is really winning those close games. But everybody just forgets about 2 years of being under 500 just because all the commentary was positive. One year they thought they might break the record for the least amount of wins. They were playing so poorly. And this past year they managed to fall out of the playoffs. And for whatever reason, the media loves their coach, and no matter what happens, he escapes all scrutiny. It's interesting. It's interesting. But Detroit fell out of the playoffs. That's the only thing that I called, excuse me, that actually came to fruition. I want to say in every other scenario, just about every other opinion I had was dead ass wrong. Was dead ass wrong. So in college and pro football, my prognostication was off kilter to say the least. I was wrong about pretty much everything that I thought was going to happen in pro and college football. Sluggo said hiring Stefanski is a huge head scratcher to say the least. It's hard to take the front office seriously. And that's the other thing about it. After all of that, you fired Raheem Morris, then you brought in Kevin Stefanski. And just okay, man. Okay. I don't get it. Jungle Brother said the Falcons lost a lot of close games, which meant the team was playing hard for Raheem. But he didn't get the grace that Dan Campbell got in Detroit for losing close games when he first got the job. But this is the thing about it, Jungle. You're being too nice. Dan Campbell wasn't losing close games. They were just losing. They lost some close games, but for the most part, Detroit wasn't a good team. They was just getting their ass kicked. There were some close losses, and that was the comparison. Thank you for saying that because I forgot about that. Detroit had 2 shitty-ass years. They weren't competing the way Raheem's team was competing and lost some close games. And then they inexplicably would get their ass kicked by teams that apparently weren't that good, like a Carolina. Even though, if I'm not mistaken, Carolina snuck their way in the playoffs. But Dan Campbell, the only difference was, for whatever magical reason, the media did not have negative coverage for Dan Campbell and what he was doing. The coverage simply wasn't negative. That was really the only difference, which is, another one of the reasons that I believe that a lot of commentary is really based on how the team is covered, unfortunately. But exactly, there was no grace. And the only difference really is how it's covered. But, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. But it was a bad decision. It was a bad decision. The only thing that's going to happen now is somebody's going to come in and break up what he got started, or they're going to get the credit for something that was already coming. I mean, all those close losses, field goals here and there, little things here and there, losing the quarterback, it's some questionable ass play calling. You can see the improvement of the team. And, if they come in and I'm just glad to wait and see, man. But it's frustrating. It's frustrating. McFeezy said, hell, I'm depressed that the Steelers hired Mike McCarthy as the head coach. Mike McCarthy. Did I know that? Mike McCarthy. Give me 1 second to remember who he is. Mike McCarthy. Am I thinking the same? No, I got to check. That can't be. That ain't who I'm thinking about. That's not the old Green Bay coach, is it? The one that was in Dallas? Let me look. That is him, man. That is him. They hired the old Green Bay coach that used to be in Dallas. I don't necessarily mind him offensively. I'll take his play calling over Arthur Smith any damn day, but interesting. Okay, interesting. So much to say about that. If I'm Tomlin, I don't even know if I'm stepping down if I still want to be a coach. No need in leaving my situation, but he has some questionable quarterback decision making, if you ask me. But that's okay. Mike McCarthy. Wow. That's interesting. Old as he is, and they usually like to hold on to coaches for a while. I'm not necessarily mad at his play calling, but what the hell do the Steelers have? They got rid of the future quarterback they should have kept, so I'm not sure what they're going to do, but okay. I saw that today. Let me get to that chat. Mike McCarthy, though. Yeah, sorry about that, McFeezy. Sluggo said the Golden Boy, Josh Allen, still couldn't take advantage of Baltimore and the Chiefs having a down year. And no, he couldn't. He couldn't. And, they gave him Lamar's MVP, tried to set it up for him, and he still couldn't get it done. Still couldn't get it done. Baltimore and Kansas City having crazy years. And he still didn't get it done. His play just doesn't match the commentary he gets. McFeezy says, Sluggo, yet they gave Josh Allen a pass and not calling him out for being a choke artist. Well, they're not going to do that. He's white and they already picked him. They picked him before he did anything, so it doesn't matter what he does. They've already decided that they like him. It just doesn't matter, unfortunately. Sydney, I saw that. And the Dolphins released Tyreek today. I saw that. After, I can't remember who that was that tackled him. But whether it was a knee or the ankle, that motherfucker broke that shit on purpose. Or twisted that shit on purpose. Sluggo said, exactly, Mac. Sluggo said, I would have taken McCarthy over Stefanski. I would have too. Sluggo said Steelers fans were ready to move on from Tomlin, even chanting nonsense during the games. I mean, okay. I mean, but no doubt, but that don't got anything to do with what the front office wants to do. But, everything was set up right there for the Steelers, and for whatever reason, you didn't keep your franchise quarterback. I don't understand it. And you brought in whatever. Whatever, man. What the hell ever. Sluggo, McFeezy says, Sluggo, they weren't Steelers fans. They were racist. And this is coming from a Steeler fan. It's, to say the least, for me on a personal level, disappointing football season. Extremely disappointing. Still football, still the beautiful coordinated efficiency that I love to watch, but on a personal level, as far as what I would have liked to have seen to come to fruition, man, I was way off. Way off and extremely disappointed in the lack of production from the teams that I was rooting for. Extreme lack of production. Sluggo. That's funny. Sluggo said, I bet Nickel and Dime DJ is a happy man this offseason. I bet Nickel and Dime DJ, if he's capable of executing it, did a cartwheel. If he can execute one, I bet he did a cartwheel or one of those corny ass movie heel kicks. I think you're right. Considering what would I call it? Considering the extreme dislike and unwarranted hate he had for one Mike Tomlin, I can't imagine the smile on Nickel and Dime DJ's face, sir. I can't imagine the smile. So you're probably right. Big smiles, a cartwheel if he can execute it, all that good shit. Some semblance of happiness. Inverted fist pump, something to that effect. Something went down. Some went down, sir. I agree with you on that 1,000%. This is the Underground Railroad Show hosted by your boy, that Ninja Man. Thank y'all for coming aboard and rolling with me. Truly appreciate it. My ideal and goal time to get started is 4:30, no later than 5 Central my time, which will be 5:36 Eastern. That's my goal. I've been off of that. Off of that mark for the last couple of weeks. My apologies for that, but ultimately, I want to be consistently coming on. That's great English. Ultimately, I want to be consistent at the 5 o'clock Central start time. So that is my goal, and I'm going to attempt to make sure that I do that for y'all, just so you know when the show is coming. And I have plenty of time to get the show in and get everything done that I want to get done as far as subject matter. Now, a couple of questions for y'all. All right, one. The bracket show, it actually is time for that. One, do y'all still want to participate in the bracket shows? That's going to be the first question. If so, please shoot out your suggestions because I have ideas. I'll shoot mine out there. But, if you're engaged in it because it's something you want to do, it's better for the bracket. So, twofold. One, do you want to continue with the bracket show? If so, then, spitball or brainstorm some ideas out there so we can kind of come to a consensus on what would be a good thing to get into if I remember correctly, the last bracket show was Black Comedies, the movie variety, not TV shows, but movies. But Black comedy movies is what we did last year. And I can't be mad at the finals being Coming to America versus Harlem Nights. I'm not mad at that. And technically, I guess I can't be mad at Coming to America winning. But for how I am now, and as many times as I've watched both of those, and the 24/7 Eddie Murphy channel helps, and the ability just to watch whatever you want, with these digital platforms that we have now, I felt like Harlem Nights should have won. And keep in mind, Coming to America is a great movie. One of my favorite Eddie Murphy movies. The one that I said was my favorite for years. Who knows? Maybe still. Harlem Nights was a collection of some of the greatest comedians, and it was really, really, really a well-written story. Harlem Nights was really slept on. It didn't get the recognition it should have got back then because everybody was just, well, it was probably because of the way he did it, and he didn't include them in it, but on the ninja side of the game, because of all the people in it, I think people were just looking to just laugh and just die laughing the whole time, which you did do, but it was actually a good story, and there was good acting in it. The setup, the scenes, the cars, the clothes, everything about that movie was fire. So I felt like that finals, Harlem Nights should have won, but Coming to America won as far as the tournament on Black comedies. So Coming to America won in the finals versus Harlem Nights. For my taste nowadays, Harlem Nights should have won. Harlem Nights should have won, in my humble opinion. Sluggo said, yes on the bracket show. I'm not sure of the subject matter, sir. Maybe something will come to mind. I have a few ideas, and I'll shoot them out there, but let me read this chat from Mac Feezy first. Mac Feezy said, here's the thing, Ninja. The Steeler owners handcuffed Coach Tomlin in terms of coaching staff and player personnel decisions. Mike McCarthy gets hired and all of a sudden has an expanded staff, etc. Basically, the Steelers had Coach Tomlin working with a Commodore 64 while Mike McCarthy gets to work with an HP with integrated AI. Ain't that about a bitch? And how about Mike Tomlin managing to manufacture that into never having a losing season as a head coach of the Steelers? So credit to Mike Tomlin and his retirement. I didn't always agree with your decisions, but for a lot of reasons, including what Mac Feezy just said, not sure if it was always his decision to make. But belated, let me give props to Mike Tomlin on his career with the Steelers, and looking forward to your next venture, sir. Looking forward to your next venture.
That boy is good. That boy is good.
Interesting. Okay, thank you for that insight, Mac Feezy. Okay, Mac Feezy said yes on the bracket show. Okay, so we'll keep that tradition going. Okay, so we did Black comedies last year. Now, just throwing this out there, this was the other one we were going to do. We were going to go, I guess you would call them dramas. Black drama, we decided between comedies and like dramas. So, for instance, like Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, New Jack City, it would be those type of movies. I'm drawing a blank on so many things. Deep Cover. But there are a multitude. I had to really stop and think about it. But those forms of movies, we could do the Black movie dramatic form. We could do that. Action, drama, whatever you want to call them. But we could do that. I thought about, these are ideas that I haven't done. I know during the great bracket craze of 2020, I think, 2021, 22. But during that great bracket craze, there were several brackets that were done. I know one year, me and Baby Girl, I think it was us, we did candy, but we did chocolate candies because I felt like it was too widespread and I didn't want sweet tarts and now and laters and all of that in the same bracket with chocolate candy. I felt like they were two separate entities. So, those type of things, the hard candy, non-chocolate candies, that bracket is available. Black dramatic movies is available. Potato chips. I don't know if we've done that, but I think, potato chips is fairly relatable. That could be done. We've actually done an alcohol bracket. Shout out to the physical actress bracket, which we did do. And, looking back on it when I listened to that show, I'm trying to remember. There were a couple that were left out where I was like, man, I was tripping. There were some that were left out. I was like, man, I was tripping. And some of them got pointed out when we were putting the bracket together, but there were like a couple of mainstays where I was like, how did I leave that person out? And I'm trying to remember who. She was in it. I can't remember right now. There were like 2 or 3 that I was like, how the hell I forget that person? There were a few where it was really obvious. And right now I can't remember. But non-chocolate candy, potato chips, black dramas. We thought about black TV shows. I don't think we did that one. Now, I don't know if we want to mix in comedy with dramatic things, but black TV shows still available. There were several other things that were on my brain. No, we did that. No. Kind of did that. That's what I had off the top of my head. I'll put some more thought into it, so some more things that come up in my brain. But I'm going to try to think of something that's... I'd like to pick something we haven't done, but I know there were some things done in an insufficient manner that could be picked up. So we'll see. Mac Feezy said DJ Pennies and Pesos won't tell you that about the Steelers. DJ Pennies and Pesos. DJ Pennies and Pesos is fucking hysterical, sir.
You're a goddamn genius. You must have a goddamn IQ of 160. You are goddamn gifted.
Sluggo said, I like the black dramas. I think that would work. Talking about the movies that started it all, New Jack City, Minister Society, Boys in the Hood, South Central. I'm leaving out so much. Dead Presidents, Panther, Lean on Me. Yeah, you start digging into it. You're going to get to 32 fast. It's a matter of picking up the right 32. Especially when you're going back, and you running them for a while, there's so many to pick up. Sluggo said, would CB4 make the list? CB4 tried to make the comedy list, and I don't think it made it. Did CB4 make it to the comedies? But it was a part of the comedy thing. CB4 is hysterical. Sluggo said, apparently, I can't say Pootie Tang without being flagged. They won't let you say Pootie? This chat room is so restrictive. Pootie Tang, to me, was one of the worst fucking movies I've ever seen. I don't know how... At least with CB4, you could find some funny in it. Pootie Tang was a terrible movie. It was a terrible movie, but some people got tickled by it. That was a horrible fucking movie, a waste of film and time. I didn't care for it because I think Chris Rock is better than that. So I really didn't like Pootie Tang. That was a terrible ass movie. Horrible ass fucking movie. I hated Pootie Tang, Sluggo, man. I couldn't stand it. Pootie Tang is right up there with Under the Cherry Moon. Not the album, but the movie, Under the Cherry Moon, the one he did in black and white, horrible movie. Horrible fucking movie. Ooh. Sluggo. That That. I think that's it. I think that would be reminiscent. I think that would be reminiscent of the struggle food tournament. What do y'all think about this? What about a bracket of terrible movies? Because we could do either one, because I can think of a lot of good black dramas, but a list of terrible movies would be great. And Under the Cherry Moon would be on that list. You know, as much, I hate to say this too, but if we do a list of terrible movies, I can tell you right now, let me brainstorm a little bit. And I hate to say this, RIP to this man that I think might have been taken out. I think it's a strong possibility he was taken out. Too smart of a businessman to allegedly not have a will. I don't really believe that, but you put anything on the news, and because of the brainwashing and psychological warfare that we've dealt with, is so many people are willing to believe that whatever the media says. Oh, he didn't have a will. The average ninja, they just go right to, man, he's so stupid. It's like it never could cross your mind that these people are fucking evil and crooked, when they always show you that they're evil and crooked. But at any rate, let's stay on point. If we do the worst movies, I think that would be funny. I think picking out the worst movies would be funny. And you said two of them, Pootie Tang. So Pootie Tang would be in that shit. I tell you what else would be in it. And this is one of the greatest artists to ever breathe on a microphone, Prince Rogers Nelson. But graffiti, what is wrong with my mouth? Graffiti Bridge and Under the Cherry Moon were two of the worst fucking movies I've ever seen. Saw both of those at the theater. That shit was terrible. Those were two shitty ass movies. Ooh, those were horrible movies. But those two would be in it. Graffiti Bridge. Once again, Graffiti Bridge was nothing more than a long ass fucking video. That shit was just a long ass video. I never forget being at the movie theater, back in the day, I think teenager, double date with the girlfriends or whatever. That was just a long ass video. Had one part where the girl showed her titties, and the girl I was with covered my eyes up and shit. I was like, I was minding my own business, and she did this shit. I said, what the fuck? She knew the part was coming or whatever, I guess. But at any fucking rate, terrible movie. And Under the Cherry Moon was horrible. Not because it was in black and white. They just said, let's put Prince in a movie because it's going to sell, because it's Prince. And in Graffiti Bridge, he was in it, but it was garbage for me. Sluggo saying, I like the idea of terrible movies. I think I do too. I like that. Mac Feezy said, Uptown Saturday Night and Let's Do It Again should have been in the bracket as well as Which Way Is Up as far as comedy movies. It was hard to get all three of those in there, man, but I understand where you're coming from. Sidney Jackson said a terrible movie bracket would be hilarious. I think so. Mac Feezy, great. And I got a slight spin, but Mac Feezy, great point. Girl 6 was a terrible movie. I tried to get into it because old girl that was in it was so damn beautiful. I tried to get into it, but that was so hard to watch. Yeah, Girl 6 was not the best film in the world. Yeah, you're right. Girl 6 could be in there. Girl 6, Graffiti Bridge, Under the Cherry Moon. Somebody just said Pootie Tang. Pootie Tang's in there. There's so many disappointing movies. I'm trying to. There's some more that were like really bad. God Almighty, man, I can't think right now. There have been some really bad movies, like really extremely disappointing. Extreme. I'm trying to. There have been so many. There's absolutely no way that there's not going to be a Tyler Perry movie in this shit. I can tell you that right now. One of those Tyler Perry movies will make their way in. One of them ones that he stole 10 or 12 other lines from other movies, but wow. Jungle Brother said any movie with Nicolas Cage should make that bracket as a high seed. It depends what it is. It depends what it is. There's several Nicolas Cage movies that I enjoy. It depends what it is. But man, I hate to say this. What about I Got the Hookup? I Got the Hookup. That wasn't the best movie. Even the other one. What was it called? About it. It wasn't the best movie. But I get what he was trying to do. There are several other. There are like some really obvious ones I'm forgetting. Damn. You know what? That's a great idea. I'm going to have to do some research. Sidney Jackson said, Master P, The Last Don, was god awful. Most of Master P's movies weren't that good. I'm trying to remember what the name of that one was where I remember they implemented the scene from Scarface, basically. It's that Tyler Perry shit. Just, biting and copying. But yeah, Master P has made some horrific movies. I get what he's trying to do in the businessman aspect of it, but he's made some bad movies. Sluggo said, Tyler Perry has a new movie on Netflix called Joe's College Road Trip. I watched it yesterday. It was hilarious, but would probably make the bracket. If you laughed at it, then it's not going to make the bracket. I got it. I got another one. That movie that Netflix must have gave them a bunch of money, but it was Queen Latifah and Ludacris. I can't remember the name of the movie, but they were in it, and it was a horrible. I got another one. The one with that black dude, the light-skinned black dude in that movie, and you thought he's gonna be whooping ass, but it was all friendly and shit. You know what? Maybe not that one. That was very average. I can't remember the name of that. But that shit with Queen Latifah and Ludacris was fucking terrible. Terrible storyline, horrible fuck. That shit was terrible. It was terrible. Yeah, when I really think about this, I'm gonna come up with some more. There have been some very disappointing movies that have been put out. Some that they really just put out and were able to put a name in it to make you go to the movies, but the movie itself was garbage. Sluggo said, what about Meet the Blacks? I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if I've seen both, but when I watched Meet the Blacks, I actually enjoyed it. I couldn't put Meet the Blacks in there. I don't know if I could put Meet the Blacks in there. Talking about with Mike Epps? Mac Feezy said, we're gonna fight. Okay, Mac Feezy said Baps should be in the worst movie. I thought Baps was a good movie, but I might be a bigger Robert Townsend fan than most. I actually thought Baps was a good movie, like in review and in hindsight, but okay, maybe. But I actually kind of like Baps. You know what? Let me go back and watch it again. I can't really put up too strong an argument if y'all want to put Baps in it, but I didn't think Baps was terrible, man. And again, that could be my bias for Robert Townsend. That could be my Robert Townsend bias too. Baps, maybe. Meet the Blacks, I laughed at that shit, to be honest with you. Sidney Jackson said, terrible movie. Transformers The Last Night. Hot, unwashed August in the South, ass cheeks. I'm going to take your word on that one. And Sluggo said, yeah, the one with Epps. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back and watch it. Maybe I was very relaxed that night and I was just laughing at the slapstick, but I wasn't aware of it and I just happened to watch it. I was laughing like a motherfucker. And maybe there were two of them and I watched one that was funny. But, I'll double check. Baps, I 1000% understand why you feel that way about Baps. I do. I 1000% understand. And as I'm sitting there thinking about it and thinking about some of the movie and how it went, it could be in there. Definitely. It could be in there. But there was a lot about that movie I liked. But again, I'm Robert Townsend biased. I'm still racking my. I know there are several other ones that like should be right there on my mind. I think that's a great idea. And when you really take the time to stop and really examine it and get into it, I think we're gonna have some nice movies, some nice, good, and terrible ass movies. Sidney Jackson said, "Woo" with Jada Pinkett was terrible. The things I did trying to smash watching that garbage. Man. Yeah, trying to appease the person you were with. Woo with Jada Pinkett. I'll keep all of this in mind. I use the show as notes. Mac Feezy said, janky promoters, lottery ticket. You know what? Those are viable, and now I'm remembering some other movies. Y'all might not agree, though. Jungle Brother said, Baps wouldn't make my big bracket, but it might be in the NIT. I understand where you coming. Now, I might be with Jungle on that. I thought Baps was good enough that it shouldn't make this tournament. Maybe the NIT. Sidney Jackson said, The Hangover, another bad movie, goofy white boy stuff. I haven't seen every Hangover. Sidney, I'm not going to sit here and lie. It was goofy white boy stuff. And outside of the moist shit, but even then I could laugh a little bit because it was all white boys. I laughed my ass off watching The Hangover. Now, was I anything close to sober when I watched The Hangover? No. But I laughed my ass off watching that damn movie. But it is a bunch of goofy Caucasian activity. It's 100% that. And some of it is so way over the top. So I'm not going to argue. We're gonna go back over and discuss this. Sluggo 2, The Hangover had me cracking up. I was laughing my ass off at The Hangover. I was laughing like a motherfucker. I can't lie. I agree with you. It is goofy white boy stuff, but it was funny. You know what it is? It's just like Will Ferrell. He just does dumb stuff as a white dude, but it's funny. Not everything, but Ricky Bobby, the NASCAR shit is funny. The weatherman shit is funny. The weatherman shit is funny. I don't know if it's the weatherman, whatever he calls himself, but that weatherman shit funny. That Ricky Bobby shit was funny. There were a couple of other ones. Anchorman, not Weatherman, Anchorman. But that Anchorman shit was funny. But I kind of look at it like that. But yeah, the Hangover, man, I was crying laughing at that shit. I saw it way after the fact, man, I was cracking up. Mac Feezy said Pluto Nash. Okay. I'm not going to argue for Pluto Nash, and y'all know I'm the biggest Eddie Murphy fan ever. I'm not going to argue for Pluto Nash, but let me watch it one more time. It had, you know what, let's just wait. Now, don't get me wrong, if not Pluto, maybe I need to go back and watch this one again, but I think I would put Holy Man in before Pluto Nash. I think I would put Holy Man in before Pluto Nash. Sluggo said that Asian doctor is a fool. Yeah, he is. He actually is. I forget his real name, but he's hysterical. Jungle Bud said the Hangover had me cracking up too. Yeah, I was laughing at that shit. Sidney Jackson said Step Brothers was hilarious. So again, let me see. Now y'all probably won't agree with this. And once again, this is the Underground Railroad Show hosted by your boy, that Ninja. Right now, we're discussing the annual bracket tournament. Sluggo came up with a great idea. Terrible movies. And that reminds me of probably my favorite bracket tournament with Baby Girl when we did the worst of the struggle foods. That was a really fun bracket. I think this is a great idea, Sluggo. I think this is a great idea. Sidney Jackson said the 6th man with Marlon Wayans can make the bracket. Not arguing with that. Where Kadeem Hardison was his dead brother and he was helping him as a ghost. You know what? I'm not arguing with that one. Now, for me, I can't remember the name of this. But Chris Rock and I think Tracy Morgan was in it. and there was some other fellow. I think my man was in it. From Stomping the Yard, Columbus Short was in it, I believe. But Death at the Funeral, where his father died, and then they found out he was like gay on the low, and he was fucking the white midget and all that shit. But I did not find that movie funny. I did not think that shit was funny. Like, it was reaching. And another thing too, and this is just me, I don't find Tracy Morgan funny. Like, in anything. Like, I'm not a big fan of his stand-up, but he's just so to me, like, acting. Like, I don't like Mike Epps stand-up, but I think he's a good actor. Same with Kevin Hart. I don't hate his stand-up, but I feel about Kevin Hart like I do about how they always talk about all-time teams and they put Steph Curry in it, and they do all-time comedy and they put Kevin Hart in it. Same thing to me. And that's no insult. You know what? I'll just move on. But I don't think Kevin Hart belongs in the all-time conversations, but I think he's a great actor. That's interesting. I never actually saw the Sixth Man. Jungle Brother says Step Brothers is a classic. The Day They Met was the start of some hilarious comedy. Sluggo says Soul Plane, State Property could be contenders. I think I agree. I agree with Soul Plane and State Property. Sidney Jackson said the Struggle Food Bracket gave us the funniest G Money line in podcast history. Yes, man, dude, I'm telling you, I tried to I'm not going to look for it, but because I didn't have it as a line, I had it as a clip. And I don't know if I remember what it was, though. You know, I'm going to look for it. We're just talking right now. Anyway, I'm going to see if I have it, but I'll never forget that. We were talking about the struggle foods. G Money put in one of the greatest chats in the history of the show. Sydney, great memory. We were talking, me and baby girl were talking about all of these struggle foods. And she was saying that she hasn't had a lot of these struggle foods. So she thanked myself and her mom on air because, you know, she said, I've actually never had most of these things on the list. So, you know, I'd like to thank my mom and dad first off. But we were talking about all of this food and how terrible it is. And I'm trying to remember what the specific item was that he said, but it was so damn funny. Okay, let me see what I got in. Okay, that's calls. Okay, call. Let me see. Okay, those are all calls. Interesting. What did I do with him? Let me see. What did I do? If I had it, man, I don't know what year we did that. Did I have any? Oh, I think I did. Okay, let me get off of that because I'm looking for some, but I'm about to see if I still had it. You know what? I have a lot. Okay. Interesting. I might actually have that somewhere. It's just not separated. Man, you got me looking for that now. I actually want to. Okay, it's not in here right now. I'm gonna look for that. I'm trying to remember. Was it? I think me and my child were discussing South meat, Vienna sausages, something like that. One of the things that were in the bracket. We were discussing one of those things. So we were going back and forth about it and what it was and how terrible it was and all of that. And she was reacting to it. What is it? I can almost hear the call in my head. I'm trying to remember what he said exactly. But G Money sent in a text and he said, quote unquote, I would feed white hostages souse meat so they could die. And it just came out of nowhere and we were dying laughing. But we were talking about one of those struggle foods and it was something like souse meat or something like that. No. I think it was lunch meat or cold cuts or some shit like that. And I can't remember what the exact subject matter was. Maybe we were saying it was so bad that a hostage wouldn't want it or something, or hungrier than a hostage, something like that. But G Money said he would feed white hostages souse meat so they could die. Man, that was so damn funny. If you heard it in the context of the show, it was so damn funny. Oh, that was classic. I'm gonna find that sound bite because that was a moment in the struggle food bracket tournament, and I know I have that here somewhere because that was very specific. I know I have that. Sidney Jackson said the man with the iron fist by RZA was so bad I never listened to his music anymore. I remember that iron fist thing. Okay. Oh, we got some great nominees. That was a great quote. That was a great quote, sir. Great quote. Once again, this is the Underground Werewolf Show hosted by your boy, that Ninja Man. I appreciate y'all. Listen, I know I owe y'all cow awards out the ass. ABM send me one because I did have every intention of doing the show last week. I just didn't get to it. For a multitude of reasons, I'm about to cut this off at the 3-hour mark. A little bit short of that. Right now, I can't dedicate myself to it, but be on the lookout for a makeup show, in which case I have some extra things to talk about, and I will do the cow awards, which with the backup cows I have and the reading that's going to require, between that and the response, I got an hour worth of cow awards when you speak about reading them and getting the response. I probably got an hour worth of cows, and I don't want to disrespect that. I haven't forgotten about it. As painful as it is, as I always say, we have to be aware and cognizant of the real world that we live in. And the colonizer of the week is one of those ways to have that steady reminder. So I'm not neglecting that. Thank you all for the nominees and sending them in. I will get back to it. But as of right now, I'm a little cognizant of the time and have some things to do. But I do thank you for the cows, and we are going to get back to the cows being read every Monday. Sidney Jackson said, No Holds Barred, starring Hulk Hogan, got to make the list. Is that the one that had Zeus in it? That had Debo in it? That one? You know what? Never, as you say that one. Okay, what about The Fifth Element? Now there were some things about it that were funny, but what about The Fifth Element? And there are really some other ones too, man. I'm forgetting some majorly really bad films. But The Fifth Element was a weird. That's the one with Debo. I remember that damn movie. That was terrible. That can make it. And when I really start to think about this, I'm going to remember some of these terrible movies, and I'm probably going to be laughing. But The Fifth Element was a little, yeah. But I'm going to put some more thought into that. We have all of these nominees. I'm going to put some more thought into it. Maybe cheat and use the Googles. But when I really stop and think about this, I'm probably going to remember a lot of extremely questionable movies. Extremely questionable. Sydney, I'm going to be honest. I kind of liked it too, but it was just weird. The outfit that Chris Tucker had on, Sidney Jackson saying, I like The Fifth Element. I even own the special edition Blu-ray. That's why I think you would watch Watson with me. Because I could watch it too. It was weird as hell, but it wasn't the worst movie in the world. It was just the way they had Chris Tucker dressed, but he still managed to, make that funny. Bruce Willis and the hair at the time. Honestly, yeah, that movie doesn't go. I actually like that movie too. I actually watched that too, Sydney, so I can't even front. I noticed that we kind of watch a lot of that, what some people would consider strange shit. Because I believe, if I remember correctly, I think you were one of the Trekkies. I think you're a Trekkie with me. So, yeah, that one doesn't go, sir. I'm trying to remember one more. There are several bad movies that have been out there, but I'm forgetting some obvious ones. Are there any movies I actually went to go see and I left like, what the fuck was that? I'm just drawing a blank right now. Thought so. Sydney saying Star Trek over here all day. Okay, let's discuss what Mac Feasy just said. Mac Feasy said Wild Wild West was terrible. He's talking about the movie with Will Smith. I can actually watch that movie, man. I'm not saying it can't be in it if y'all choose, but I can actually watch the Wild Wild West. There was some parts in it I thought were funny. There was some interesting things about it. It wasn't a great movie, but I can't put that in the terrible movie category. I can't put Wild Wild West in the terrible movie category. Man, I'm forgetting about some really obvious terrible movies, man. I'm forgetting about some obvious terrible movies right now. There have been some bad ones, like things with expectations that may have put a star in it for a half a second or whatever. That movie Will Smith made with his son. That movie he made with his son. That shit was questionable. That was questionable. Sidney Jackson said Batman and Robin with George Clooney and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Terrible. They had so many Batmans. I do remember. You know what? That particular Batman is the one they never replay. I never see there are not a lot of replays of the George Clooney Batman era. Well, you know what? Maybe they do. I'll catch the Michael Keaton one. I'll catch the one with Val Kilmer. I guess that was a conscious decision by the directors. They never repeated a Batman, which is kind of weird. No familiarity, but Val Kilmer, Michael Keaton, George Clooney. I think the other cat was British or some shit. Interesting. Matt Feasy said the Blair Witch Project was shitty. I agree with that. Weird and shitty. Shitty and weird. Sidney Jackson said, only thing I remember from Wild Wild West is Salma Hayek's butt cheeks hanging out. Yeah. Christian Bale, the dude that played the Psycho. What was the movie? Was it American Psycho? Christian Bale was the other Batman. Sure was. Sidney Jackson saying, preach Mac. Blair on the Blair Witch Project, I believe. Christian Bale, he was the one. Yeah. Christian Bale was the other Batman. Yeah, they've had some interesting Batmans. I didn't mind Michael Keaton. I'm a big fan of Val Kilmer. I think he's a great actor. Hell, I think George Clooney's a good actor. But I'd have to go back and watch that particular Batman. But the fact that it's so forgettable and I can't remember any key things about it tells you a lot. That tells you a lot. George Clooney did play Batman once. Sure did. Forgot about that shit. He sure did. All right, man. Great suggestions. We're going to go with that. Now, let me get this together. I'm not going to say next week. But, I mean, hell, it would be possible. I'll communicate. Slow down, T. I'll communicate through social media. Let me think about this and get some good nominees together and get like a brainstorm bracket together. And we'll eliminate this thing and shave it down. And then we'll go through the process of seeding. But I like this idea, and I'm going to think on this some more because there are so many subpar-ass movies that I am forgetting about. I'm forgetting about a lot of subpar movies right now. So great idea, Sluggo. Great suggestions from everybody in the chat room. And we're definitely going to execute that. Ladies and gentlemen, I truly appreciate it. Close to the 3-hour mark, but not quite at it. I got some things I need to get into, man. So I appreciate y'all, man. Thank you for this back and forth. I consider the back and forth to be therapeutic, which makes all you my de facto therapist. So as always, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for the session. Good back and forth, man. I like that. But that was my end of the year football review. And my whole point of that is just to be accountable for the things that I said. And just a reminder that mainstream does a lot of prognosticating and a lot of declarative statements, and there's never any accountability for anything that they say. And if you try to hold them accountable, they literally act as if they're being attacked. But just one of those years where I'm really, really grateful that I don't gamble. Really, really grateful. Appreciate y'all, man. I was going to say abbreviated outro, but let me go ahead and do the outro. Can't hurt. Appreciate you thank y'all for the back and forth. As y'all know, I consider this to be therapeutic, which makes all of you my de facto therapists. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for the session. Mom taught me how to cook when I was younger. Still love to cook to this day, which is why I started the show talking about my latest cooking adventures and things I may have been privy to, shown, or participated in, partaked in. Mom's also taught me to get the number from the young lady so I can be in charge of the situation. That game has served me well up to this point. I thank you for that game, Moms. Appreciate it. Oh, as y'all know, the yellow one at the end of the month shares a birthday with my mom. So the yellow one is about to have a birthday. I usually talk to him on Monday. We didn't talk today. The yellow one has a birthday coming up because Mom's has a birthday coming on February 26th at the end of the month. So another birthday for Mama Walker, as y'all call her in the chat. Mama Walker, as y'all call her. So shout out to Moms. R.I.P. DT. Pops taught me to think of all I speak, but speak not all I think. Simply put, that means that sometimes you either need to shut the fuck up or at least think about what it is you're about to say and who you're about to say it to. Pops also taught me how to be a man. I appreciate that because I am slightly disgusted when I see those who don't conduct themselves as a man. I'm glad I'm not one of those individuals. Thank you, Pop. Appreciate you for showing me how to be a man. If you don't get to see a man, you never get to be a man. I appreciate you, sir, and I wish I would have let you know that more when you were here. R.I.P. to DT. And as always, I take a shot for Pop. That reminds me. Slight little tequila discovery. I don't think I mentioned this, but Milagro. Is anybody familiar with the Milagro brand? The Milagro tequila? Never tried it before because the bottle looks so crazy. I had the Milagro Silver, recommended. Tried the Milagro Reposado. That shit is smooth. Milagro Rep, as y'all know, I'm a silver person, but I found a couple of Anejos. Don Julio Anejo, top tier. Terramana Rep, you can always go with that. But this Milagro Rep, good tequila. That's a nice, smooth drink. Milagro Rep is real smooth. Sluggo said no. It's called Milagro. If you go to the liquor store, you'll see it. Smooth. It's just the bottle is festive. But just throwing that out there. As I was taking that shot out, remember that. Just throwing that out there. Once again, R.I.P. DT. Pops, one more time. It's okay to think it's not illegal yet. If somebody tells you something, look into it for yourself. This initiates the learning process. If somebody tells you something and you take it at face value, run with it and repeat it, you're being taught. You don't want to get taught. Always look into whatever anybody tells you. That initiates the learning process. Short version of that is just don't take anything at face value. Do your own research, form your own opinion before you speak about anything with your whole chest. Don't get taught, always learn. Pops also taught me that a man who trims himself to suit everybody will soon whittle himself away, which is why I don't compromise who I am for the temporary approval of those who have not yet earned my respect. And to quote the last line of Mass Appeal by the late, great guru, I'll be kicking the reel while they'll be losing the race, trying to chase Mass Appeal. Appreciate y'all, man. Thank you for the back and forth. Despite not doing the cows today, remember, we are at war. We are at war. Please get at least one short gun and one long gun. At least. Please get at least 1,000 rounds of ammunition for each. Go to the range. Become knowledgeable about your weapon. Learn how to shoot it. Take care of it. Clean it. Carry it safely. Use it effectively. Teach everybody you love and care about to do the same. Try and develop a mentality that will allow you to not hesitate to defend yourself, your property, or your home. A good way to do that is to study where you came from, how you got here, and how you've been treated since you've been here. If you do that, I promise you, pulling the trigger will be a hell of a lot easier. Side note, take the time to learn how to clear your house. Do little drills. You laying around, you're in the bed, wherever you're at in the house, boom, you hear a door kicked in, you hear a window break. What are your steps? What is your process to getting your weapon, facilitating safety for whoever may be in the house? And how do you go about clearing your house? What is your first direction? Where are you headed? Do you have a flashlight available? Are you dressed? There's so many other things you could do to make it more of a reaction and a routine as opposed to a moment of panic and trepidation. So take the time to learn how to clear your house. Hey, look, man, appreciate y'all. Thank you for the back and forth. I will see y'all next time, next Monday for sure. I may give you a bonus show. Hey, appreciate that, man. Thank you, Sydney. Thank you, Jungle. Thank you, Sluggo. Thank you, Mac Feezy. Appreciate y'all, man. Y'all take care. We'll see y'all next time. And as always, one more thing. There was something else I meant to tell y'all. Oh, again, Sluggo, great idea with the movies. It was on the tip of my tongue. I had another shitty movie on the tip of my tongue. Damn it. It was kind of recent, too. There was a lot of there was a movie that was so much build up, and then when I went to see it, it was pure garbage. Right now, I can't remember. But I'm going to write these things down as I think about this topic. Great topic, Sluggo, and great participation on the brainstorming for a list of terrible movies. There have been a lot. Appreciate y'all, man. Thank you for the back and forth. As always, take care. We'll see you next time, and be easy.